Chapter 408. After discussing with Lin Ruashi about bringing Hui Lin out to relax, they couldn't leave immediately. After all, both of them had work to do. When Yang Cheng arrived at the office the next day, he saw Wang Jie already waiting there. She looked rather disappointed, as if she had encountered some difficulties. "Manager Wang, could it be that you've been harassed by a client?" Yang Cheng joked. Wang Jie forced a smile. "Director, don't joke with me. I wouldn't take that kind of thing to heart. Furthermore, not many people would dare to have ideas about our Yulei employees." "Then what's the matter?" Yang Cheng asked. Wang Jie sighed softly and told him everything in detail. It turned out that the star of Yulei's audition was going to be officially announced in less than half a month. However, the specific venue for the audition and registration had yet to be officially decided. After discussing with her think tank, Wang Jie decided to cooperate with a national chain company in the tertiary industry. However, Wang Jie was rejected at the door. When the company heard that Wang Jie was a department manager of Yulei Entertainment, they immediately chose not to accept an interview and stated that the director had to go there personally. Yang Cheng frowned. "Which company is it? How dare they throw such a childish tantrum?" Wang Jie said indignantly. "Isn't that right? I'm also puzzled. After all, it's a listed company. Why would they do something like this? You haven't told me which company it is." "Oh." Wang Jie passed the document to Yang Cheng and said, "It's the largest entertainment industry group in Zhonghai. It's one of the top 10 companies in the country, the Maple Group." Yang Cheng was stunned. He carefully looked at the introduction in his hand and immediately smiled bitterly. "Maple Group? Isn't that Tang Wan's company?" Yang Cheng couldn't help but think that the reason why Wang Jie was rejected at the door and directly asked the director to go, there was definitely because Tang Wan knew that the director of Yulei Entertainment was him. She did this on purpose. Ever since the incident with Tang Tang, he hadn't kept in touch with Tang Wan. Although he was greedy, he didn't have the cheek to eat the beautiful woman who suddenly confessed to him. After all, Yang Cheng was not inexperienced. He only knew that women were animals. Moreover, he had been busy all this time, and the women at home had not been dealt with properly. Moreover, he had to fight and plot from time to time. How could he have the time to grind soybean milk with Tang Wan? Although Yang Cheng admitted that he was a playboy, he would not fall in love with a woman so easily. Towards Tang Wan, he at most liked and was attracted to her physically. He didn't really love her like his other women. The two of them had only been together a few times, and there was an age gap. It was impossible for them to be together like him and Anshin because they were similar in age. Therefore, if they didn't see each other, he wouldn't think too much about it. However, Tang Wan was also an arrogant person. She had always been the one to lick her toes. Now, she was telling a man who was more than 10 years younger than her that she wanted to have an affair with him, but the man was indifferent to her. This obviously challenged Tang Wan's self-esteem. Since Yang Cheng ignored her, she naturally wouldn't take the initiative to contact Yang Cheng. However, ignoring him for a long time didn't mean that she had really thrown Yang Cheng aside. Tang Wan hadn't married for more than 10 years. It was rare for her to fall in love with a man. It was impossible for her to break up with him just like that. Therefore, it was reasonable for her to have all kinds of resentment. "I have a general idea of the matter. I will go to Maple Forest by myself. It's not your fault. The main thing is that I have some conflicts with Maple Forest." Yang Cheng smiled. Wang Jie was stunned for a while. Only then did she realize that she had become a victim. She smiled bitterly and went out to do her work. After Yang Cheng sat in the office for a while, Anshin came to work with a small bag. She was wearing a pretty light brown winter dress and a pair of high leather boots. She looked like she was strolling on the streets of the Champs-Élysées. She didn't look like a woman who worked in an office at all. Yang Cheng didn't care about this coquettish dress. It was good enough for him to see. He didn't need to pay attention to other people's irresponsible remarks. "Baby Anshin, you stay in the office. I will go to a place to discuss some business," Yang Cheng ordered. Anshin didn't expect that Yang Cheng would go out so early in the morning. She blinked and said, "Business? Can't you take me there?" Yang Cheng knew that Tang Wan must have a lot of dissatisfaction with him at this time. If he took a seductive female secretary with him, it would be bad. So he waved his hand and said, "No, You can work here. I have to solve this matter myself. Anqing didn't ask much. She nodded obediently and gave Yang Cheng a kiss. She told Yang Cheng to work hard. Yang Cheng drove alone to the address of Maple General Lin's department, which he had found in advance. He felt a little helpless. Being liked by a woman like Tang Wan was a kind of luck, but if he didn't handle it properly, it would be a kind of suffering. Just like now, he hadn't gotten any benefits, but he had to run to apologize to her and explain why he ignored her for so long. When he arrived at Maple General Lin's department, he found that the building was a bit old, but there were many expensive cars in the parking lot. Maple Group must have a lot of benefits. He came to the front desk and reported his title. The lady at the front desk immediately smiled and led Yang Cheng upstairs to Tang Wan's office. Sure enough, Tang Wan was sure that Yang Cheng would come. Otherwise, she wouldn't let him in so easily without asking about the appointment. When he came to the office, the title of chairman was written on the door. He knocked on the door and heard Tang Wan's familiar voice. "Come in." The lady at the front desk made a please gesture and then turned away gracefully. Yang Cheng shrugged his shoulders and cleared his throat before opening the door and walking into Tang Wan's office. Tang Wan's office was twice as small as Lin Ruoshi's, but it was quite luxurious. All kinds of furniture were exquisitely carved mahogany, which should be the masterpiece of an Italian designer. There was an imitation of a journey to the western mountains hanging on the wall. Tang Wan liked this kind of ink and wash painting, which had something to do with her mature mentality. When Yang Cheng entered the office, he saw Tang Wan sitting behind the desk and reading something. She didn't raise her head to pay attention to him. Yang Cheng chuckled. He knew that she was throwing a tantrum to give him a show of strength, but he didn't get angry. He went straight to a hard leather sofa and sat down, closing his eyes to rest. After a while, Tang Wan raised her head. Her face was as smooth as autumn water, as charming and seductive as ever. But at this moment, there was a bit of anger. She looked at the leisurely man with an unfriendly expression and said, "Director Yang, you're in a good mood. You came here to sleep." Yang Cheng opened his eyes and sighed. "Isn't it because Chairman Tang is busy? I don't want to bother you." Tang Wan coldly snorted. She stood up and leisurely walked to Yang Cheng. Wearing a plain cashmere sweater and black skinny jeans, Tang Wan looked graceful. Her swaying waist and pert buttocks, as well as her bulging breasts, made people fantasize about her. Yang Cheng gulped. This chick looked even more voluptuous and alluring in her winter clothes. "Do I look good?" Tang Wan asked with a playful smile. Yang Cheng nodded. "I've always been good-looking. Then why haven't you come to see me for so long?" Yang Cheng scratched his head and chuckled. "Isn't there a lot of things to do? Besides, it's the new year. I'm always with my family." Tang Wan snorted and laughed a few times. She sat opposite Yang Cheng and elegantly picked up a cup of warm coffee on the tea table. She took a small sip and said, "I don't think you're with your family. You're playing Tiger Wong in Hokkaido." Yang Cheng was stunned. "You even know this? I'm more capable than you think." Tang Wan smiled charmingly. Yang Cheng curled his lips and nodded, as if nothing could be hidden from this woman. However, a woman who could make Fang Zhongping, the secretary of the municipal party committee, secretly fall in love with and not dare to offend, naturally couldn't be just the chairman of a large corporation. She must have an extraordinary background. "You know why I'm here today, right?" Yang Cheng said. Tang Wan shook her head. "I don't know." Yang Cheng was depressed. He smiled bitterly and said, "Do you have to be like this? It's not like we have any deep hatred. I admit that I don't care about you enough, but we don't have any substantial relationship, right?" Tang Wan's pretty face turned cold. Her eyes were like two sharp knives as she stared at Yang Cheng. "So this is how you see our relationship?" Yang Cheng's heart trembled. He smiled embarrassedly. "That, it's not completely like that. It's just that I feel that we're both adults. There's no need to fuss over such a small matter. We could talk about work at work." Tang Wan sneered. Her eyes flickered with an unnerving brilliance. "Yang Cheng, do you know? If there's a man who tells me, 'I've fallen for you after knowing me for a few days,' I won't hesitate to slap him. Because that's the same as saying, 'I want to sleep with you, but in a different way.' However, if I tell a man I've only known for a few days, I've fallen for you. To me, it's the same as saying, I want to entrust everything to you. But it's obvious that the man I'm targeting doesn't take me seriously at all. Yang Chung was stupefied. He didn't expect Tang Wan to take the conversation that night at the beach so seriously. If what Tang Wan said was true, then he had indeed gone too far. Actually, with your qualifications, choosing me isn't a good thing. You should know very well that I can't give you too much of what you want. Yang Chung said with difficulty. Tang Wan smiled bitterly. Do you know why? In ancient Greek mythology, the little Cupid would always cover his eyes with a piece of cloth when he shot the arrow of love. Why? Yang Chung had never heard of this story. Because Tang Wan stared at Yang Chung and said with a complicated and bitter tone, because love is blind. Chapter 409. Hearing Tang Wan say the word blind, Yang Chung couldn't help but fall into deep thought. This woman always gave him an overbearing feeling, and he always couldn't take the initiative in front of her. However, he never thought that she was the weaker party between the two of them. After all, the Real initiative was in his hands. I seem to have made some cruel mistakes, Yang Chung said with a faint smile. Tang Wan shook her head. You are a bit cruel, but you didn't make any mistakes. I'm just fighting for something that I want. Of course, you can choose to ignore everything I say and do. When it comes to work, I'll talk to you rationally. You can rest assured about that. Yang Chung touched his shirt pocket and wanted to take out a cigarette, but he realized that he was in someone else's office. He was a bit embarrassed, so he retracted his hand and said seriously, this kind of thing can't be forced. In the future, when we have time, we can meet and have a meal. Even if we can't be lovers, we can still be friends. Tang Wan smiled. That's all I need to hear. Can we start talking about work now? Our Star of Ulay audition is very urgent, Yang Chung said with a smile. Tang Wan nodded and was about to say something, but her phone rang. Tang Wan took out her phone and looked at the number. She immediately frowned and picked up the call. What's wrong? It was unknown what was said on the other side of the phone, but after that, Tang Wan's face didn't look too good. Wait for me. I'll be there in half an hour, Tang Wan said, and hung up the phone, sighing faintly. Yang Chung had never seen such a helpless expression on Tang Wan's face before, so he asked curiously, Did something happen to Tang Tang? Tang Wan smiled. What can happen to that girl? She's in school studying for the college entrance exam, but something happened to my brother. Your brother? Tang Wan nodded and said, Actually, during the time when you didn't contact me, I went back to Yanjing and just returned to Zhonghai a few days ago. But this time my younger brother, Tang Ju, also came along. That little rascal is always messing around. My family elders asked me to watch over him, but he caused trouble for me in just a few days. Yang Chung didn't know that Tang Wan's family was in Beijing. He heard from Tang Wan that her brother seemed to be a troublemaker. What happened to him? Tang Wan bit her lower lip and seemed to have thought of something. She asked Yang Chung, How are your driving skills? Yang Chung was stunned and casually said, It's all right. Compared to your fighting skills? Tang Wan asked again. Yang Chung found it even more strange. He thought for a moment and said, I can't say he's the best in the world, but he can be considered half an expert. Of course, if it's car crashing, then I'm definitely the best in the world. After all, I'm not afraid of death, Yang Chung thought. Tang Wan clapped her hands and said sweetly, How about this? Do me a favor and I'll immediately decide on our cooperation. I'll definitely give you the most favorable policies. Yang Chung was puzzled. You can't be asking me to drive for you, right? Follow me to a place and you'll know. Tang Wan smiled mysteriously, like a cunning fox. 20 minutes later, Yang Chung sat in Tang Wan's limited edition black Land Rover and arrived at an empty area in the suburbs of Zhonghai. They could see many roadside signs and advertising slogans from afar. Only then did Yang Chung know that Tang Wan was bringing him to a place called Maple Racing Club. Obviously, it was also a business under the Maple Group. Just like Maple's clubhouse, fitness center, and entertainment center, it was a place for rich people who love cars to have fun. Many world-famous cars such as Lamborghini, Macallan, Pagani, etc. Every time they started up and every mileage increased, it would cost an unimaginable amount of money. In some foreign Lamborghini clubs, if tourists wanted to test drive, not only would they need a large amount of money, once the car started up, it would cost a few $100s. A few laps on a racetrack would cost up to $1,000 for the test drive. Many people would only feel like touching the steering wheel, and then thousands of dollars would be gone. As for the owners of these super sports cars, once they were on the road, even if they could afford the gas, it would be a great waste of the car itself and bring high risks. Therefore, car clubs that were specially used to store and have fun were especially popular now. Of course, not everyone could open such a club with money. If Tang Wan did not have a profound background, she would definitely not dare to open such a luxurious place. After all, the people who would come here to play with cars were not ordinary people. In order to win their trust and be willing to store those world-famous cars here, Tang Wan definitely had to get their approval. Yang Cheng had always been curious about Tang Wan's real background. Now that he knew that her family was also in Yinjing, he gradually had some clues. However, he did not know what the status of Tang Wan's family was. After Tang Wan parked her Land Rover in a special VIP parking space, she led Yang Cheng into a modern building. The whole building was designed like a civil airport, with a long row of connecting passages. In fact, on the way here, Yang Cheng saw some helicopters and commercial airliners. Evidently, aside from many luxury cars, there were also private planes. Yang Cheng was a little speechless. Although his wife, Lin Ruoxi, was rich, even more so than Tang Wan's Maple Group, it wasn't something that could be done easily. Huaxiao wasn't like the United States, which had more than 50% of the private planes in the world. Therefore, civil airports were very common in the United States. In a place like Huaxia, where high-altitude control was so strict, Tang Wan actually opened a luxury car club and even built a civil plane supply station at the same time. It was simply the means of a local tyrant. Are you surprised? Tang Wan could see that Yang Cheng was a little dumbfounded, so she turned her head and asked with a smug expression. Nodding his head, Yang Cheng smiled. The more I think about it, the more I feel that Chairman Tang is an extraordinary woman. Pursing her lips, Tang Wan smiled. Most of the time, women like men because they can't see through them. Men like women, and although it's not that obvious, it still happens occasionally. That's a pretty good situation. Yang Cheng shrugged his shoulders. In his opinion, men would never be able to see through a woman. When they came to a luxuriously decorated hall, the person in charge of the club, a middle-aged woman in uniform, came to Tang Wan and reported respectfully, Chairman, young Master Tang Ju is currently in the resting area of the first racetrack. Who's that racing with young Master? Have you investigated it? Tang Wan asked with a solemn expression. The person in charge nodded. Yes, we've already investigated it. That's one of the top racers of Austria's F1 Red Bull racing team, Weber. He once won the championship in Germany, and his performance in this year's World Championship was outstanding. He's one of the top racers in the world. Why would someone like him come here? Who brought him here? Tang Wan asked in puzzlement. The person in charge replied, It's young Master Ning. Young Master Ning and Mr. Weber are friends from overseas. This time, Weber came to Zhonghai to participate in the race, so he came here to have some fun. Who knew? Young Master Tang Ju, he's addicted to gambling again. Tang Wan touched her forehead in distress. Suddenly, she was stunned. You mean, young Master Ning? Which young Master Ning? The person in charge replied, It's young Master Ning Guodong from the Ning family in Beijing, Director Ning. Oh, it's him. Tang Wan seemed to have understood what was going on. On the other hand, Yang Cheng, who was following by the side, curled his lips. He was quite fated with Ning Guodong. He was here to help Tang Wan, and his opponent was even the racer that Ning Guodong brought with him. However, since it was Ning Guodong's friend, he didn't need to be polite. Yang Cheng hated gigolos who stare at other people's wives the most. Chapter 410. After listening to some trivial matters from the person in charge, the group arrived at the rest area of the first track. Although it was called a rest area, it was actually a spacious living room. Sunlight shone in through the transparent tempered glass windows. The heater was turned on inside, and many of the indoor plants appeared delicate and beautiful. The environment was very pleasant. You're really willing to spend money. Yang Cheng couldn't help but sigh as he looked around at the luxurious facilities. Tang Wan smiled. If you're careful with your spending, no one will be willing to come to a place like this. People who come here are not afraid of expensive things, but they are afraid of not being expensive. Yang Cheng nodded in agreement. As they spoke, they could clearly see a few figures and an empty parking lot in front of them. Sure enough, it was the Ning Guodong that Yang Cheng knew. However, he wasn't wearing a suit today. He was only wearing an Armani casual shirt and a garish scarlet tie. He looked as elegant as ever. Beside Ning Guodong was a Western man with a somewhat thin face but extremely strong bones. His unshaven beard was quite masculine. He wore a colorful cap and held a bottle of Martell in his hand. He was talking and laughing with Ning Guodong, taking a sip of wine from time to time. A huge silhouette suddenly rushed over and shouted, "Big sister, sis!" Yang Cheng took a closer look and saw that it was a standard burly man from the north. He had curly hair and a square face. He was more than 9 meters tall and seemed to weigh more than 100 kilograms. His nostrils were especially large, and he wore a large leather coat. He looked annoyed and unwilling and a little childish. Such an expression and such a physique formed a sharp contrast that made Yang Cheng almost burst out laughing. How many times have I told you not to gamble all day? When are you going to change that stupid habit of yours? Tang Wan stood in front of the burly man. Although she was looking up at him, she used the tone of an elder to lecture him. The burly man lowered his head and looked a little wronged. He said in a hoarse voice, "That Ning Guodong brought the foreigners here to show off. As a child of the Tang family, shouldn't we inherit the fine tradition of our ancestors and rise up to resist? Rise up to resist. You can use a kitchen knife. Why are you using a car to race? Are you a racer? Or did you race against the 8-Nation Alliance? Do you think it's the Olympics?" Tang Wan asked. The man smiled and pretended to be cute. He stretched out his hands to hold Tang Wan's slender arms and shook them. Sis, you're the best. Help poor Tang Ju. That 599 GTO is my birthday gift. How can I lose it to him?" Yang Chun, who was watching from behind, almost fainted. The man's tone and actions were simply infuriating. How could he stand it? Some of the staff and bodyguards at the side were used to it. It was really hard on them. At this moment, Ning Guodong walked over with Weber. When they saw Tang Wan, they greeted her intimately. But when he saw Yang Cheng, Ning Guodong's face turned ugly. "Why are you here?" Ning Guodong asked with a frown. Although he had seen the scene of Yang Cheng and Guo Shuehua reuniting at the Yang family's military courtyard, he only had a glimpse of it. He didn't know what happened after that. From Ning Guodong's point of view, there must be a mistake for Yang Cheng to be a descendant of the Yang family. Not to mention that there was no news from Beijing, so he was sure that Guo Shuehua recognized the wrong person. "Why can't I be here?" Yang Cheng raised his brows and asked. Ning Guodong sneered. "Do you know how much membership fee you have to pay to come here? Your salary might not even be 1/10 of it." Tang Wan said calmly, "Yang Cheng is my friend. I asked him to help me compete with Mr. Weber." As soon as she said that, not only did Ning Guodong look at Yang Cheng in surprise, but Tang Ju, who was begging Tang Wan for help, also widened his eyes and looked at Yang Cheng carefully. In Tang Ju's opinion, Yang Cheng was just a nobody. He didn't expect him to be his sister's friend and a reinforcement. As he looked at him, Tang Ju's eyes became a little ambiguous. "Miss Tang, are you sure you're not joking with me and my friend?" Ning Guodong asked with a weird smile. In his opinion, Yang Cheng challenging Weber was simply a fantasy. He felt that even if Tang Wan were to hire a taxi driver on the street, he would still be more reliable than Yang Cheng. Weber couldn't understand Mandarin, so he asked the translator to explain it to him. When he knew that this young man with the surname Yang wanted to compete with him again to win back the car that he had lost, he grinned at Yang Cheng with great interest. Obviously, a real expert wasn't afraid of challenges and would only look forward to different opponents. Weber wouldn't look down on Yang Cheng just because Yang Cheng didn't look very good. Only by respecting each and every racer could one stand at the top of the world. Yang Cheng was a little confused by their words, so he immediately asked Tang Wan and the rest to stop. "I still haven't figured out what's going on. What car gambling, race, and winning back the car?" Tell me in detail. I'll talk. Tang Ju volunteered as if he, the culprit, had nothing to do at all. He acted as the narrator and explained everything that had happened in the past hour. It turned out that Tang Ju was bored in Beijing, and he had nothing to do after coming to Zhonghai with Tang Wan. Therefore, his main activity was to play in the various amusement facilities under the Maple Group. Today, he happened to be at the racing club, playing with a few new sports cars. Coincidentally, Ning Guodong, who happened to be in Zhonghai, also brought his friend Weber here to have fun. Ning Guodong and Tang Ju were probably the type that didn't see eye to eye. Therefore, they talked about the race and the like without saying much. When Ning Guodong talked about how good his friend Weber was, Tang Ju was instantly reminded of the glorious revolutionary ancestors who had to fight against the foreign devils. Therefore, Tang Ju gambled with Weber on cars. Whoever lost would have to give the other party's car to the winner. In the end, Tang Ju lost his face and his car. However, Tang Ju felt that something was amiss. That Ferrari 599 GTO was a gift from his sister, Tang Wan. How could he lose it? Not to mention that there weren't many of those cars in the world. It had a different meaning. After that, Tang Ju called Tang Wan for help, hoping that Tang Wan could help him get his car back. Yang Cheng was depressed after listening to it. He felt that he was here to clean up after Tang Wan's stupid brother. Hey, brother-in-law, are you really good at driving? Can you win? Tang Ju let go of Tang Wan and went to Yang Cheng's side. He hooked his arm around Yang Cheng's neck and asked, "Little brat, what nonsense are you talking about?" Tang Wan's face blushed as she kicked Tang Ju's thigh. Evidently, she was familiar with it. Tang Ju awkwardly took a few steps back and said timidly, "Sis, you've never brought a boyfriend before. Now, that one is here. How can it not be brother-in-law?" Tang Wan really wanted to smack this good-for-nothing brother of hers to death. She gnashed her teeth and glared at him before she said to Yang Cheng, "I'm sorry, but he's just spouting nonsense. Don't take it seriously." If I took it seriously, I would have lost. Yang Cheng touched his forehead and wiped his sweat. Tang Wan rolled her eyes at him before she turned to Ning Guodong, who was stunned. "Young Master Ning, you should know the price of that Ferrari 599 GTO. That's a birthday gift that I gave to my good-for-nothing brother. Although he lost the bet, he should at least give us a chance to regain some ground. What do you think? Miss Tang, there's no reason for us to take a step back on the gambling table, right?" Ning Guodong smiled evilly. Tang Wan knitted her brows and pondered briefly before she said, "How about this? I'll get Yang Cheng to pick a car from my garage and race with Mr. Weber. If we lose, the car that Yang Cheng picked will belong to young Master Ning and Mr. Weber. If we win, we only want the Ferrari back. What do you think?" Chapter 411. Tang Wan's conditions were extremely generous. Firstly, Ning Guodong and Weber wouldn't lose anything. They would only have one more chance to get another car. Secondly, Weber's car could compete with the Ferrari 599 GTO. Although there was a huge difference in driving skills, it also meant that ordinary sports cars couldn't compete with Weber's car from a certain point of view. Therefore, if Yang Cheng wanted to have a higher chance of winning the competition, he had to choose another tyrannical supercar. When Weber heard this, he was very happy to agree. Foreigners weren't fools. Why wouldn't they agree to such a good thing? Ning Guodong was also waiting to see Yang Cheng embarrass himself. So he said, "All right then, since you want to compete again, then let's start choosing the track and car." Yang Cheng knew that he couldn't avoid it, and since he had promised to help Tang Wan today, he had no choice but to show some of his true abilities. "Don't stand on ceremony. Feel free to use the car in the garage," Tang Wan said straightforwardly. Then let Yang Cheng follow a waiter to the garage to get the car. Yang Cheng hesitated for a moment, then asked, "What type of track is it?" Tang Wan turned her head to look at Ning Guodong. This track was chosen by them. The entire club covered an incomparably large area, and there were all kinds of tracks. She didn't know which one to choose this time. Ning Guodong sneered and said, "It's a road track that simulates the layout of a city. It's definitely not the F1 track that my friend is good at. You can rest assured and choose." Yang Cheng couldn't be bothered with Ning Guodong's sarcasm, so he turned around and left. Tang Ju nervously watched as Yang Cheng left. He rubbed his hands and asked Tang Wan, "Sis, is brother-in-law all right? Why did he only ask about the track and not even what car they were using? Why didn't you say so earlier?" Tang Wan suddenly remembered that Yang Chung didn't ask what car they were using for the competition. "I forgot. Should I go up and tell brother-in-law?" Tang Ju blinked and asked. "I've told you, it's not brother-in-law. If you keep yelling, I'll kick you back to Yinjing." Tang Wan glared at him. Tang Ju chuckled and didn't mind it at all. He continued acting coquettishly. "Sis, you dote on me the most. Why would you kick me back to Beijing?" Looking at her silly little brother, Tang Wan was both annoyed and amused. In the end, she shook her head and sighed, not saying anything more. Not long after, Yang Chung drove the car he chose to the rest stop. When Tang Wan, Ning Guodong, and the others arrived at the door, they were stunned almost immediately. It wasn't that the car Yang Chung had chosen was special. It was just too ordinary. Yang Chung drove a sapphire blue Lotus Evora and slowly came to everyone's sight. "You chose this one?" Ning Guodong asked with a strange smile. "Can't I?" Yang Chung touched the delicate steering wheel of the Lotus. "I think it's quite suitable. Lotus sports car, although it's a world-class supercar on par with Ferrari and Porsche, but this Evora you chose, TSK. Ning Guodong shook his head. Before Ning Guodong could say why, Tang Ju, who had long lost his patience, shouted, "Brother-in-law, don't joke with me. I don't blame you if you want to save money with your sister, but you should at least choose a reliable one. Although this Evora is a Lotus, it's using a Toyota Camry's engine. I lost my Ferrari GTO, and you're driving a Toyota Camry. What's the point of racing?" Just as he finished speaking, a roar of an engine emerged from the other side, followed by a yellow shadow rushing in front of everyone. The strong lines, the wide body, and the golden logo exuded a beast-like aura. Yang Chung opened his mouth and whistled in admiration. Weber rolled down the window and gave a thumbs up to Yang Chung. He said in English, "Koenigsegg CCXR 4, 8 displacement, turbo, V8 engine, acceleration of 100 kilometers in 3 seconds." This was considered a thorough introduction, just like how swordsmen in ancient times would introduce their weapons before a fight. Yang Chung also replied in English, "Lotus Evora 3, 5 displacement, Toyota Camry's V6 engine, acceleration of 100 kilometers in 4.9 seconds. Weber grinned, obviously agreeing with Yang Cheng's data. At least this was an opponent who had seriously chosen his car. As for the performance of the car, as a professional racer, Weber was well aware of the pros and cons of each car. He wouldn't arbitrarily think that his Koenigsegg would definitely win. Tang Wan stopped Tang Ju, who still wanted Yang Chung to change his car. She walked to Yang Cheng's window and said, "Follow Mr. Weber to the starting point. There will be someone in charge of the race." Yang Chung nodded his head. Just when he was about to roll up the window, Tang Wan called out again. "Hey!" Tang Wan hesitated for a brief moment before she bit her lips. "Be careful. Don't force yourself." Yang Chung smiled bitterly. It turned out that this woman also felt that he would lose, and she still thought that she had 100% confidence in him. Following Weber to the starting point, Weber signaled to Yang Chung and asked, "Do you need to familiarize yourself with the track?" Shaking his head, Yang Chung declined. "You're also a guest. I don't think it's necessary." Yang Chung had only roughly looked at the track map by the roadside. He had basically memorized the track in his mind, and there wasn't much of a difference. The club's professional person in charge of the race prepared for the two of them. After a gunshot, the two sports cars shot out like arrows. Because it was a highway track, it didn't take long for the cars to enter all kinds of 50-degree and even 90-degree corners. The Koenigsegg start was obviously much faster than Yang Cheng's Lotus. It roared like a lion, and in the blink of an eye, it had pulled away from Yang Chung by a few dozen meters. Yang Chung wasn't in a hurry. He tried his best to catch up. At the corner, he pulled the handbrake and suddenly drifted. Weber didn't use any drifting techniques. It wasn't that he didn't know how to, but he wasn't used to it. After all, an F1 car didn't know how to drift. As a result, at every bend, Yang Chung would catch up with Weber a little bit from the inner road. Gradually, the distance between the two began to close. Ning Guodong, Tang Wan, and the others, who were standing at the rest stop, could see the process of the race from the big screen. When they saw the miraculous lotus gradually closing the distance, Ning Guodong and Tang Ju thought they were seeing things. Only Tang Wan revealed a knowing smile. This man was indeed used to hiding his strength. It was just like when she first met him. He looked so weak, but he was trustworthy at critical moments. No way. A Camry can beat a Koenigsegg? Tang Ju shouted in horror, forgetting who he was supporting. At the same time, on the track, Yang Chung was gradually closing in on Weber. The front of the Lotus was drifting against the back of the Koenigsegg, as if it would hit the Koenigsegg's door at any time. It was extremely thrilling. Inside the car, Weber's forehead was already sweating. His opponent was drifting at almost every intersection. There were two possibilities. One was that his drifting techniques had reached the pinnacle. The other was that this man wasn't afraid of death when he was driving. Didn't he know that drifting at some corners could easily cause a car accident? Also, why did he deliberately use the front of the Lotus to hit my door? However, Weber couldn't get rid of Yang Chung, who was like a nightmare to him. When the two cars entered the final straight sprint, everyone was surprised to find that the Lotus was actually ahead of the Koenigsegg by nearly 100 meters, reaching the finish line. Ning Guodong, who was standing in the resting room, widened his eyes and looked at the result that turned the world upside down in disbelief. Tang Ju, on the other hand, roared loudly like a wolf howling in the middle of the night, causing Tang Wan to frown. Fortunately, Tang Wan was also happy, so she didn't think about kicking her brother. The two cars drove back to the resting area. Weber got out of the car and walked to the side of Yang Cheng's car. After Yang Cheng got out of the car, he shook hands with Yang Cheng. "Congratulations, you're the most skilled Asian I've ever seen," Weber said with a sincere smile. Victory and defeat were common in the military, so he didn't care too much. Yang Cheng also shook hands with him. It's mainly because of the road track. People like you who are used to driving an F1 are always used to going through big bends, so you gave me the opportunity to take advantage of it. In terms of real precise control of the car, I'm still far from you. A loss is a loss. You've allowed me to witness a godly drifting technique, Weber praised again. Tang Wan and Ning Guodong walked over. Tang Wan said to Ning Guodong with a smile, "Young Master Ning, I'll take back my brother's car." Ning Guodong nodded and didn't want to pay any more attention to him. He turned to Weber and asked him how he felt. He didn't want to face Yang Chung at all. Tang Ju licked his lips and walked forward. He touched the Lotus sports car behind Yang Chung and kissed the door a few times, leaving a bunch of saliva. He laughed and said, "Haha, this lousy Camry actually defeated the Koenigsegg. This is too godly. In the future, we'll just buy a Camry when we buy a car." Yang Chung chuckled. Although this engine is a Camry made in North America, the Lotus has its own unique electronic control unit. The exhaust of the engine has also been redesigned and adjusted differently. The power performance is on a completely different level. On this kind of road track, the Koenigsegg's explosive power in a straight line can't be displayed well. Although these two Evoras can only go around 200 kilometers, and the Koenigsegg can go around 300 kilometers, 200 kilometers is a luxury on this kind of track. No matter how fast it is, it's useless. On the contrary, the Lotus has a mid-engine design and a lighter body, which is a great advantage. Tang Ju was stunned when he heard that. In the end, he mumbled, "Brother-in-law, which car company do you work for? Firstly, I'm not your brother-in-law. Secondly, your sister wants to kick you again." As soon as Yang Chen finished speaking, Tang Wan kicked Tang Ju's butt again. Tang Wan, who was burning with anger, blushed. She glared at her idiotic brother with murderous eyes. She didn't have the slightest bit of her usual gentleness and charm. Instead, she looked more like a big sister disciplining a kid. Ning Guodong casually glanced at Yang Chung, but his eyes were filled with resentment. Chapter 412. The farce in the racing club didn't make Yang Chung forget the main purpose of looking for Tang Wan this time. After sending away the silly and insensitive Tang Ju, Yang Chung and Tang Yuan signed the cooperation agreement. Finally, it was finalized that the Maple Group would provide venues all over the country for the audition registration and the audition competition for Star of Yule. In fact, this was also something that Tang Yuan was very happy about. After all, with the help of an international superstar like Kristen, Maple Group had obtained an excellent publicity opportunity. Ning Guodong and his racer friend Weber left not long after the competition ended. No one knew where they went. Before leaving, Ning Guodong only greeted Tang Yuan and Tang Ju. Obviously, he didn't take Yangqing seriously. On the other hand, Weber was very generous and shook hands with Yangcheng. In the eyes of others, no matter what this foreigner thought, he was much better than Ning Guodong, who was a department-level official. Of course, no one would really think that Ning Guodong didn't understand the ways of the world. He definitely wouldn't be so stingy at work. But in private, he obviously didn't have a good impression of Yangcheng. In fact, he even hated him. Tang Yuan also realized that Ning Guodong seemed to have a grudge against Yangcheng. After finishing the work, she asked with concern, "Yangcheng, why do you have a conflict with Ning Guodong? This is definitely not a good thing for you." "Are you talking about the Ning family in Yinjing?" Yangcheng said indifferently. Tang Yuan wasn't surprised that Yangqing knew about Ning Guodong's background. After all, both of them weren't ordinary people. If it was an ordinary person, she wouldn't feel that Yangcheng needed much attention. But Ning Guodong was different. "You saw it today. I know Ning Guodong too. I didn't hide anything from you on purpose. I just didn't think there was a need to tell you. Now that you're in conflict with Ning Guodong, I might as well give you a reminder so that you won't see through him." Tang Yuan furrowed her brows and said, "Our Tang clan is one of the most senior clans in Beijing. Our current strength is ranked in the top 4 among the top clans in Beijing. Just like us, people in this circle call us the 4 great families of Yinjing. The first to bear the brunt is Ning Guodong's Ning family. Not only did the Ning family have Ning Guangyao, the youngest premier, it was also because they haven't faced any obstacles since the founding of the country. They've been accumulating their power and have the most stable foundation. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that they're the most powerful family in Huaxia. Although Ning Guodong is the only son of Premier Ning Guangyao, he can't take over as the head of the Ning family. That's because there are too many capable youngsters in the Ning family. Ning Guangyao's position as the head of the department isn't enough. When Ning Guodong heard how prominent Ning Guangyao was, he couldn't help asking curiously, "Other than your Tang clan, what other 2 great clans are there?" Seeing that Yangcheng didn't seem to mind, Tang Yuan knew that he wasn't afraid of anything. She sighed helplessly and said, "The other 2 great clans are the Li clan, where Vice Premier Li Mozhen is from. Li Mozhen can actually be considered Ning Guangyao's elder. Although he's under Ning Guangyao, the Li clan had deep connections with the country's secret service during the Republic of China era. After the national government was defeated, many hidden forces were annexed by the Li clan. The Li clan is the most low-profile among the 4 great clans, but they're the most vicious. As for the other clan, it's the Yang clan that has had the most rough development." "The Yang clan?" Yangcheng was stunned. He had thought that the Yang clan would be a powerful clan, which could be seen from the fact that Yang Jiu, a married woman, was so capable. However, he never expected that the Yang clan would be one of the 4 great clans in Huaxia. Tang Yuan didn't notice the change in Yangcheng's expression. She seemed to be immersed in her memories as she said, "The Yang clan is the oldest among the 4 great clans. Looking at the genealogy, the Yang clan has been passed down for close to 1,000 years. This is a glory that the other clans can't compare to. The Yang clan has the least number of people, but almost everyone has a fanatical belief in the clan. It was this belief that allowed the Yang clan to make a comeback despite being on the brink of annihilation several times. Furthermore, it also left behind many immortal records in the history of Huaxia. The Yang clan in Yinjing had actually declined in the early days of the nation's founding. However, the former head of the Yang clan was the current head of the family, Yang Yi, the father of Mr. Yang Gongming. He was a military genius and an ever-victorious general on the battlefield. He had played an outstanding role in the war against Japan, the Civil War, and the war to aid North Korea. Many of the top troops in Huaxia were given the soul of the military by the former head of the Yang clan. Therefore, the Yang clan's reputation in the military was unparalleled. It could be said that the former head of the family had saved the Yang clan from destruction. At the same time, he had also educated a son, Yang Gongming, who continued to make the Yang clan flourish. If the former head of the family had made the Yang clan rise and become the hero of the military, then Chairman Yang was the hero of Huaxia during the turbulent political period. He led a large number of students who were now ministers and stabilized the political scene of Huaxia and sped up the economic development. He was the real hero behind the scenes. Now, the Yang clan was undoubtedly one of the four major families. In terms of overall strength, the Yang clan is not as rich as the Ning clan, the Li clan, and the Tang clan. However, the hidden power of the Yang clan is the hearts of countless people in the military and the senior officials of Huaxia. In this world, no matter how powerful an individual is, they can't resist millions of soldiers. Yang Cheng fell silent after hearing this. The family seemed to be full of glory and glory, but those things were always so far away from him. Oh, I think I've said too much. Tang Wan laughed at herself. Actually, I like the Yang clan the most among the rich families in Yanjin. It's a family full of legends. All right, your surname is Yang too. Does it make your blood boil? Yang Cheng shook his head and smiled. It's like listening to a story. And it's an old story. That's because you didn't live in that era. Only people of my age can see Chairman Yang Gongming's heroic appearance back then. Tang Wan complained. It's all your fault. I'm reminded of my own age again. Yang Cheng looked helpless. He reached out and pinched Tang Wan's face when she wasn't paying attention. It was delicate and meaty. What's in her face? Sister Xiaowan is only 18, right? Yang Cheng smiled mischievously. Tang Wan rolled her eyes at him and looked at the time on her watch. We're done talking business and chatting. It's 1 p.m. Although it's a little late, we still have to have lunch, right? Do you have the honor of having lunch with Director Yang? Yang Cheng looked left and right. The two of them were still in the lounge of the racing club. Don't tell me we're going to eat a boxed lunch here. Tang Wan giggled. You can even think of a boxed lunch. To be honest, I've never eaten it before. Although I had the urge to try it, I was too embarrassed to ask someone to buy it for me. Then I'll buy it for you. Yang Cheng recommended himself. Tang Wan glared at him. You really want me to eat a boxed lunch with you? Then what are we going to eat? Yang Cheng was depressed. Can't you just say what you want to eat? Tang Wan blinked, her charming face full of mischievousness as she said, I'll eat whatever you like. Yang Cheng swallowed his saliva. This mature woman was indeed different. Just a little bit of electricity, and he had the urge to surrender. He chuckled. Then you'll probably suffer. Why? Tang Wan didn't understand. What I like is already in front of me. I can eat, but I don't know if you can. Yang Cheng said. What is it? Tang Wan looked left and right in confusion. There's nothing to eat? Aren't you the one I like? Can you eat yourself? Lil sis. Yang Cheng said with an evil smile. Tang Wan's face instantly flushed red. She stretched out 2 slender fingers and pinched Yang Cheng's arm. Seeing that Yang Cheng didn't cry out in pain and was still smirking, she couldn't help but say angrily, even if you're pretending, can you pretend that it's painful? Just make me feel better. If you let me eat, I'll say it's painful. Yang Cheng said with a deadpan expression. Tang Wan's beautiful eyes roamed. At this moment, the woman's real age couldn't be seen at all. It was as if she was in her 20s. I told you to eat that night, but you ignored me. Tang Wan said bitterly. Yang Cheng swallowed his saliva and laughed dryly. You woman, Sai. How can I say that you're good? If you don't let me eat, I can really eat. You're clearly telling me to eat, so I'm too embarrassed to open my mouth. As soon as he said this, Tang Wan immediately bent over in laughter. Yang Cheng's somewhat bashful and helpless appearance seemed to be very fresh, causing Tang Wan to be overjoyed. In the end, the two of them casually ate some Western food in the club's dining hall. It didn't matter what they ate, but the two of them sat together and chatted. They said some shameless words, but they had a tacit understanding. Yang Cheng discovered that he actually had a lot to talk about with Tang Wan. He even had more topics to talk about than his other confidants. Tang Wan was an experienced woman. Her age not only brought her a mature beauty, but also brought her a vast accumulation of knowledge. Although Yang Cheng was young, the things he knew were definitely not something an ordinary middle-aged man could compare to, especially the culture of overseas. To Yang Cheng, who had a photographic memory, it was all information that he could casually pull out. As the two of them talked, they couldn't feel the difference in age at all. Instead, it was as if they had found a close friend. This kind of wonderful feeling not only made Tang Wan feel very satisfied, but also made Yang Cheng feel extremely comfortable. They chatted like this from the afternoon. After drinking a few cups of Blue Mountain, the sky gradually darkened. Yang Cheng looked at the time. It was already 4 o'clock. He guessed that the people in the company were about to get off work, so he planned to go home directly. "I'll send you back to the company." Tang Wan stood up. Although she was a little reluctant, she knew that Yang Cheng wouldn't really eat her at once. Yang Cheng didn't refuse, so he took Tang Wan's car back to the Maple Group. After getting his own car, he said goodbye to Tang Wan. Although the two of them didn't say anything in the end, their gazes became much closer. This made Yang Cheng feel happy and troubled. If this goes on, he might really fall in love with this mature woman who is good at understanding others. At that time, Tang, that brat shouldn't call him uncle anymore. She would have to call him father. Just thinking about it made him shudder. Yang Cheng was about to drive home when he suddenly received a call from Guoshuehua. "Yang Cheng, Mom and Mother Wang are going to do facial care, and Hui Lin is going with them. That girl is going to participate in the competition. Girls who are singers should often take care of their skin. You can have dinner with your wife tonight. There is no cooking at home." Yang Cheng was stunned. His mother wanted him to reconcile with Lin Ruoshi, which was too fake. But he had no choice. His parents didn't want him to have a cold war with Lin Ruoshi, so he couldn't waste their efforts. So, Yang Cheng turned the car around and drove back to the parking lot of Yulei International Building. At this time, it was almost time for Lin Ruoshi to get off work. Guoshuehua had already called her. She would not go home to avoid him, right? Thinking about it, two figures walked out of the elevator in the parking lot in front of him. One of them was a graceful figure. It was Lin Ruoshi. She was wearing a white European coat with a velvet collar and fashionable red tight-fitting pants. Her black hair was let down and combed softly on both sides. She looked much gentler, and there was a trace of tiredness on her beautiful face. The other person made Yang Cheng almost want to smash the steering wheel. That guy in a suit, with oily hair and a powdered face, was Ning Guodong, whom he had just met in the morning. "This guy, it's fine if you want to take advantage of my absence to look for my wife, but you're holding a bouquet of fiery red roses?" Chapter 413. At this moment, Ning Guodong had a polite smile on his face, as if he was meeting a foreign envoy, but the strong desire in his eyes couldn't be concealed. Just walking next to Lin Ruoshi, from his angle, he could see the snow-white, delicate skin between Lin Ruoshi's pink neck and collar. Coupled with the unique cold fragrance lingering around, it made Ning Guodong have the urge to throw away the bouquet in his hand and hug the woman. Lin Ruoshi also noticed this man's strange gaze. That kind of passion made her very uncomfortable. But the other party was the premier's son, a department-level official. She really couldn't treat him like an ordinary man, provided that he didn't cross the line. People don't fight with officials. Even if she wasn't good at socializing, Lin Ruoshi still knew this. Ruoshi, these flowers were specially airlifted from Holland. They definitely bloomed last night, and they even matched it with the rose oil essence that the French meticulously prepared. "Don't you like it?" Ning Guodong asked intimately. Lin Ruoshi slightly frowned. This man's shamelessness was comparable to her husband. She wasn't familiar with him, and they couldn't even be considered acquaintances. How could he call her so intimately? But she couldn't scold him just because he called her name. "Director Ning, these flowers are very rare on such a cold day, but we're not familiar with each other. It's not appropriate to accept your gift. You should take it back." Lin Ruoshi declined politely. "Sigh, no matter how beautiful the flowers are, they should be taken by someone who is worthy of them." Ning Guodong looked serious and sincere. "Ruoshi, this is a piece of my sincerity. I actually wanted to come over during the Chinese New Year. We met at the conference last time. I returned to Yanjing thinking about you. Don't think that I'm being rude and presumptuous. I'm an honest person. When I see a girl I like, I won't back down. Ning Guodong's straightforwardness made Lin Ruoxi completely unable to stand it. Originally, because of her coldness, almost no boys dared to pursue Lin Ruoxi since she was a child. At this time, she met a hot-headed guy who wouldn't even feel pain from a whip. Even if she wanted to freeze him, it would be hopeless. She couldn't help but feel a headache coming on. She had planned to stay in the company tonight, but Guo Shuehua had called to tell her that it would be just her and Yang Cheng. She had asked them to have dinner by themselves. How could Lin Ruoxi not understand Guo Shuehua's intention? But Ning Guodong came and made her sit in the office. There was no place for her to hide. She had to get off work in a hurry and go home to escape. Director Ning, I have to get off work and go home. It's getting late. You should go back too. Lin Ruoxi frowned and walked to her Bentley. However, Ning Guodong blocked in front of Lin Ruoxi. Ruoxi, if you don't accept this flower, it means that you look down on me, Ning Guodong. Even if you want to go home, I will follow you to your house. No matter what happens today, you have to accept this little gift from me. I'm not asking you for any other progress. Could it be that you can so cruelly reject the flowers sent to you by someone who admires you? After all, Ning Guodong was involved in politics. He had a way with words. Lin Ruoxi, who wasn't good at talking, didn't know what to do. He was the prime minister's son, and the Ning family's influence in Yanjing was well known. Yulei International couldn't afford to offend him. Lin Ruoxi turned her head and thought for a while. She sighed faintly and took the bouquet of fragrant flowers from Ning Guodong's hand. Just then, in the passageway ahead, a white BMW's headlights suddenly flashed a few times in a row. Following that, the tires made a screeching sound as they skidded along the cement floor. Boom! After the car's engine roared, the BMW was like a violent beast, roaring and flying in the direction of Ning Guodong and Lin Ruoxi. When Lin Ruoxi saw the car, her heart relaxed. She could recognize that it was Yang Cheng's car. As for what Yang Cheng was doing, he definitely wasn't trying to kill her. So, she just stood there calmly and watched. Ning Guodong didn't know that it was Yang Cheng. He thought it was some madman racing in the underground parking lot. His face instantly turned pale. Ruoxi, get out of the way, Ning Guodong shouted. Although he told Lin Ruoxi to get out of the way, he had already retreated to the back of a cement pillar. He watched nervously as the car drove over. After the BMW charged forward for a while, it suddenly came to a screeching halt. After a beautiful drifting stop, it stopped in front of Lin Ruoxi with a distance of a meter between them. The car window slowly rolled down, revealing Yang Cheng's smiling face. He blinked at Lin Ruoxi, who was as indifferent as ever. Then, he looked at Ning Guodong, who was hiding behind the cement pillar, and said, "Ah, isn't this young Master Ning? We meet again. What's wrong with you? Are you not feeling well? Why is your face so pale? Or is it because you're wearing foundation?" Ning Guodong realized that he had been fooled by Yang Cheng. He was simply trying to scare him. Lin Ruoxi obviously knew what kind of car Yang Cheng was driving, so she wasn't afraid. You actually dare to scare me with a car?" Ning Guodong was still nervous and stuttered. "Huh? Young Master Ning is scared by me?" Yang Cheng pretended to be curious and asked. Ning Guodong's face turned serious. "Who said that? How could I? Then how can you say that I'm threatening young Master Ning?" "Young Master Ning, aren't you not scared?" Yang Cheng said. Ning Guodong had a headache from this twisted logic. Without waiting for him to think about it, Yang Cheng had already said to Lin Ruoxi, who was standing beside the car, "Wife, get in the car. We're going to eat dinner." Lin Ruoxi hesitated for a moment. She originally didn't want to go out for dinner with Yang Cheng. She was still angry about Anshin's matter, but in the current situation, with Ning Guodong around, if she didn't give Yang Cheng face, wouldn't be right. After all, the two of them were still husband and wife in their hearts. "Okay," Lin Ruoxi softly responded. She held the bouquet and sat in Yang Cheng's car. Ning Guodong's eyes widened as he watched Yang Cheng drive Lin Ruoxi away. He couldn't say a word. "Wife, Yang Cheng called Lin Ruoshi wife. Could they be husband and wife? Ning Guodong had a brief understanding of Lin Ruoshi's family from the Zhong High Chamber of Commerce and the upper echelons of the political world. He didn't know that she was married, so he was so happy to chase after her. However, the current situation seemed to be different from what he knew. If Lin Ruoshi and Yang Cheng were husband and wife, then why didn't the upper echelons of Zhonghai know about it? The CEO of Yulei International wasn't a small figure. What made Ning Guodong even angrier was that Yang Cheng might really be Lin Ruoshi's husband. After all, Lin Ruoshi had personally agreed to it. This was a huge blow and insult to him. That lowly guy could actually marry such a goddess. Ning Guodong felt that his blood vessels were about to explode. At the same time, the car drove onto the main road. Yang Cheng, who was in the car, pouted gloomily. From time to time, he glanced at the expressionless Lin Ruoshi beside him and the bouquet of roses in her hand. Yang Cheng couldn't help but say, "Darling Ruoshi, how could you accept the flowers that Ning Guodong gave you?" Lin Ruoshi faintly glanced at him. "No, I won't let them go." "Then call me. I'll settle it for you." Yang Cheng said anxiously, "You better throw these flowers away. I'll go find a trash can by the roadside, and you can throw them away." Lin Ruoshi could vaguely sense Yang Cheng's jealousy. She felt that it was quite interesting. It was always this bad guy who went out to look for women and made her sad. Now, it was the other way around. He finally knew that she didn't have any men chasing after her. Thinking of this, Lin Ruoshi shook her head and pretended that she didn't know anything. She said, "This flower is very fragrant. It's good to keep it at home." "Good my ass." Yang Cheng couldn't help but scold. "That pretty boy might have poisoned the flowers he gave you. Why are you swearing? Isn't it just a bouquet of flowers?" Lin Ruoshi frowned. She looked unhappy, but she wanted to laugh in her heart. "Don't tell me that when other men give my wife roses, I can still say that in a nice tone?" Yang Cheng sighed and tried to curry favor with her. "Darling Ruoshi, be good. Go and throw the flowers away. I'll go buy you bigger flowers. The smell of roses is too strong. I'll go buy you something lighter." Lin Ruoshi shook her head. "No, it's too wasteful. These flowers are pretty good." Yang Cheng's expression changed, and he said seriously, "No, before dinner tonight, you must throw the flowers away." Lin Ruoshi looked at Yang Cheng's fierce appearance and finally couldn't help but burst into laughter. She looked mischievously at this angry man. "You're jealous." "Why would I be jealous? I don't like that pretty boy, so I don't like him giving you things," Yang Cheng said without looking at Lin Ruoshi. Lin Ruoshi rolled her eyes at him and slowly rolled down the window. At this time, the car had already reached the highway. The cold wind blew through the window and messed up Lin Ruoshi's beautiful hair. Lin Ruoshi half closed her eyes and threw it with all her might. That bouquet of bright red roses flew down from the highway and was blown into a chaotic red by the cold wind, scattering into the distance. When Lin Ruoshi slowly rolled up the window, Yang Cheng asked, "Why did you suddenly throw it away? Didn't you say you were going to leave it home?" "I feel that the car is too sour, so I don't want the flowers." Lin Ruoshi pursed her lips and said with a smile. Yang Cheng awkwardly smacked his lips. "Hurry up and go eat. I'm hungry," Lin Ruoshi said. Yang Cheng was stunned. "How rare. You actually took the initiative to say that you're hungry." Lin Ruoshi bit her lips and nodded. She said with a smile, "I'm in a good mood, so of course I'm hungry." Yang Cheng thought about it carefully and then understood what the woman meant. He couldn't help but bitterly smile. It's over. She has something on me. But seeing Lin Ruoshi's first smile in many days, Yang Cheng felt relieved. Even his dissatisfaction towards Ning Guodong had lessened. Chapter 414. It was rare for them to have a harmonious relationship. Yang Cheng felt that he should strike while the iron was hot, so he asked Lin Ruoshi what she wanted to eat for dinner. However, Lin Ruoshi didn't have any ideas. She usually ate at home or in the company, and when she went out to eat, she ate in some big restaurants. However, it was not necessary to go to a big place for the two of them. Yang Cheng thought about it for a while. He felt that it was not interesting to take Lin Ruoshi to eat in small restaurants. After the novelty was gone, small restaurants were not as good as big restaurants. However, It was a rare opportunity for them to have a date. It would be a pity if they were too ordinary. After thinking for a long time, Yang Cheng turned the car and drove in the direction of the seaside in Zhonghai. Although Lin Ruoshi usually drove, there were limited places she could go, so she didn't know where Yang Cheng was taking her. She asked nervously, "Aren't we going to eat? Why are we going to the seaside?" "You'll know in a while. Baby, don't worry. Your husband won't starve you to death." Yang Cheng smiled easily. In less than 15 minutes, the car stopped at a seafood hot pot restaurant by the beach. During the transition between winter and spring, it was good to eat hot pot to get rid of the cold. Lin Ruoshi looked at the bright neon lights of the hot pot restaurant, the steaming hot steam, and the fresh aroma wafting in the air. She looked around curiously at first, but soon after, she felt even hungrier. "How do you know this place?" Lin Ruoshi asked. The reason why Yang Cheng remembered this restaurant was because of Tang Wan. The beach where he met Tang Wan the other day was nearby. He had an impression of it when he passed by, but he couldn't tell Lin Ruoshi. He just said, "I'm usually so leisurely, so I always wander around. Is this a hot pot?" Lin Ruoshi didn't ask further, but asked in confusion. "Of course, why do you ask?" Yang Cheng was puzzled. Lin Ruoshi blushed slightly. I've never eaten hot pot before, so I'm just asking." This time, Yang Cheng finally understood what it meant to be a rich young lady. This girl had never eaten hot pot in her entire life. But thinking about it, his family was full of women. Who would have thought of eating in such a straightforward way? Moreover, hot pot could easily cause acne, so it was indeed not suitable for nourishing one's skin. "Then let me break your first time," Yang Cheng said, pretending to be serious. Lin Ruoshi glared at him fiercely. She could still hear the vulgarity in Yang Cheng's words. "Isn't it just eating hot pot? It's often seen in Korean dramas. Are you afraid that I don't know how to eat it?" Lin Ruoshi thought. The two entered the restaurant, and the waiter brought the two to a table by the window. Along the way, there were a lot of fiery gazes in the restaurant, causing Lin Ruoshi to feel a little uncomfortable. This was the first time she had seen such a lively dinner scene in her life. Yang Cheng looked at the size of the table, which was only big enough to hold 5 or 6 dishes. He couldn't help but frown and said, "Change to a bigger one. This table is so stifling." The waiter was a young man, and in his heart, he scolded Yang Cheng for being a busybody. Only the two of them, and they still want to use a big round table? However, looking at Lin Ruoshi's appearance, he knew that the two of them weren't ordinary people, so he smiled and said, "Sir, although the table is small, we can have a shelf to put the dishes on. It's not a problem." Yang Cheng shook his head. "It's rare for my wife to eat here, and she still has to carry the dishes up and down. How tiring. Change to a big round table for us. The one that can seat 10 is the best." "All right, I want a private room." "Sir, we're in short supply of private rooms. There won't be enough when there are more guests at night." The waiter's smile disappeared as he explained. Lin Ruoshi didn't know much about these things. Seeing that Yang Cheng seemed to have an argument with the waiter, she wanted Yang Cheng to let it go, but Yang Cheng seemed to be very concerned. Taking out his bank card from his pocket, Yang Cheng said to the waiter, "I'll pay now. I want a private room. I don't mind if you charge me double the price." The waiter was speechless. They insisted on spending money to book a private room for 2 people. Although he despised this kind of nouveau riche, the waiter had no reason to refuse. He could only take his bank card and go to the counter manager to talk to him. In the end, he agreed. After the two of them entered the private room, Lin Ruoshi asked, "Why do we have to have a big table?" "Actually, it doesn't matter if the table is small. Now that the table is so big, it's only the two of us. It's weird." Yang Cheng smiled and said, "No matter what, it's your first time eating hot pot. Of course, you have to make the environment better. Anyway, my baby Ruoshi doesn't lack money, so it's fine to spend more. Besides, although it's a little strange, it's still memorable, isn't it?" Lin Ruoshi couldn't be bothered with Yang Cheng's twisted theory, but she felt a bit of sweetness in her heart. In fact, although Lin Ruoshi felt that eating in a crowded place was more refreshing, in the hall, there were too many gazes looking at her. This made Lin Ruoshi feel awkward eating. Moreover, Lin Ruashi's personality was more introverted. In front of so many people, she was also a little afraid of eating hot pot for the first time. Obviously, Yang Cheng had considered this, which was why he insisted that the two of them enter the private room to eat. Although there were only 2 people in the hot pot, Yang Cheng ate the amount for 5 or 6 people. Just the lamb rolls alone. He ordered more than 10 plates, which made the waiter dumbfounded. Lin Ruashi was eating the spicy hot pot. Her face was flushed and she was sweating profusely. Her hair was stuck to her forehead, making her look rather disheveled. Compared to her usual cold demeanor, she looked more like a commoner. Yang Cheng looked at the woman sitting next to him. Her eyes were watery, and her pink tongue was sticking out. At this moment, he felt that Lin Ruashi was like a girl in her 20s. She was very cute. He couldn't help but lean over and kiss Lin Ruashi's pink cheeks when she was not paying attention. Lin Ruashi rolled her eyes at him and frowned. "There's oil on your mouth. Don't mess around." "You mean I can kiss when there's no oil on my mouth?" Yang Cheng smiled wickedly. Lin Ruashi pouted and immediately moved to separate the 2 seats. She ignored Yang Cheng and continued to fish the vegetables in the hot pot. "Eat more meat. You're not fat, so it's better to put on more meat." Yang Cheng helped to fish a pile of lamb and beef onto Lin Ruashi's plate. Lin Ruashi blinked and asked, "Am I very thin?" Yang Cheng shook his head. "Your figure is just right." This was the first time she talked about her figure with her husband. Lin Ruashi felt that she might have gotten hot from eating hot pot. But since she had already said it, she was not afraid. She continued to ask, "Then why do you want me to put on weight?" Yang Cheng chuckled. "I like to look at slim women, but I like to touch fleshy women even more." Lin Ruashi really wanted to pick up the plate and cover this bad guy's face. How could he say such words? He was too shameless. However, Lin Ruashi still silently ate the meat that Yang Cheng scooped for her on the plate. When Yang Cheng felt that his stomach was full, the 2 walked out of the private room and went to the counter to pay the bill. "Sir, it's a total of 1,260. When the cashier lady said the number, her voice was a little dry. She knew that the man and woman insisted on sharing a private room just now. These 2 people actually ate more than 1,000 yuan that 10 people might not even be able to eat. Yang Cheng suddenly pointed to the table where 2 men were eating not far away and said, "I'll pay for their table too." The lady was stunned, but she still nodded and asked Yang Cheng to sign 2 bills. After walking out of the hot pot restaurant, Lin Ruashi asked doubtfully, "Do you know those 2 people?" Yang Cheng shook his head. "I don't know them." "Then why did you pay for them?" The 2 walked back to the car. Yang Cheng started the car, pointed to the entrance of the hot pot restaurant, and said, "Look, they're coming out." Lin Ruashi looked over, and sure enough, she saw the 2 unfamiliar men walking out of the hot pot restaurant. Moreover, they looked at their side with some deep meaning. Lin Ruashi suddenly understood something and asked, "You mean they're following us? To be precise, they're monitoring what we're doing?" Yang Cheng sneered. Lin Ruashi didn't understand. Who would do this? Why are they monitoring us? Besides the one who is very curious about our relationship, who else do you think? Yang Cheng sneered. Ning Guodong? Lin Ruashi immediately thought of that troublesome guy. It was him who knew that she and Yang Cheng came out to eat, and it was also him who had the ability to immediately send people to follow them. "You insisted on a private room just now because you didn't want them to watch us?" Lin Ruashi suddenly thought of this and asked. Yang Cheng smiled. "This is one of the reasons, but the main reason is for my dear wife to be happy." "Ruashi, darling, you ate well tonight, right?" Lin Ruashi ignored Yang Cheng's joke and said worriedly, "What you did just now was to tell Ning Guodong that you saw through his tricks. Doesn't that mean that you've now become enemies with Ning Guodong? He doesn't look like a good person, but he's the premier's son. What if he really makes things difficult for you?" Yang Cheng laughed and said, "Since I dared to beat up his subordinates, I naturally won't be afraid of him. Since he did what he did today, I'll just treat it as playing with him. But if he really angers me, there's nothing I can't do." Lin Ruashi looked at the fanaticism in Yang Cheng's eyes and vaguely calmed down. She sighed faintly. It was said that husband and wife would understand each other after a long time after getting married, but she couldn't see through this husband of hers. When the two returned home, it was almost 10 p.m. Guo Xiuhua and Mother Wang, as well as Hui Lin, who had gone for maintenance, had already arrived home. Jin Xiao, who was in cram school, would only return home at night. She was currently doing her homework upstairs. When they entered the living room, Guo Xiuhua couldn't help but reveal a benevolent smile when she saw the two of them walking in together. "You're back. Did you have fun?" Lin Ruoxi pursed her lips and didn't say a word. She signaled Yang Cheng with her eyes to speak. Yang Cheng nodded and said, "It's a little boring eating with just the two of us. I think you two shouldn't go out together in the future." "My child, I'm doing this out of kindness. You two aren't close enough. It's better for you to date more often," Guo Xiuhua said bluntly. Yang Cheng didn't mind and smiled. Suddenly, he saw a huge pile of paper bags beside the sofa. "You guys went shopping?" Mother Wang said embarrassedly. "Yes, young master. I didn't expect to buy so many clothes at one go. When I got home, I realized that there were many things that I didn't need to buy." "Of course not. These clothes look good on you," Mother Wang said Hui Lin with a sweet smile. "I'm already an old woman. I don't need these new clothes." Although Mother Wang had a lot of crow's feet around her eyes, she still looked like a middle-aged woman when she smiled. They chatted for a while. Mother Wang made hot tea for Yang Cheng and Lin Ruoxi. Then, she suddenly thought of something and said to Lin Ruoxi, "Miss, our house seems to be a little crowded after Miss Jinxiu moved in. I think Mrs. Gu's words made sense when we were shopping earlier in the day. You and young master will have more children in the future. A family like ours will definitely need more children. At that time, the house will definitely not be enough for us to live in. Why don't we move now?" "Children?" Lin Ruoxi didn't pay attention to other things, but she heard the word children clearly. She looked at Guo Xiuhua, who was smiling and nodding in agreement. Then, she looked at Yang Cheng, who was rubbing his nose and pretending to be deep in thought. Lin Ruoxi was willing to bet that she had never felt so helpless before. Chapter 415. In the presidential suite of a five-star hotel in Zhonghai, Ning Guodong, who had just finished attending a banquet, took off his handmade suit from a Milan designer, poured himself a glass of iced Bordeaux, and sat cross-legged on the leather chair by the window. He took a sip of red wine and looked out the window at the night. His phone vibrated at that moment. Ning Guodong looked at the number, picked up the phone, and asked expressionlessly, "How's it going?" The man on the other end of the phone sounded a little discouraged. "I'm sorry, Gongzi. We were recognized by the man named Yang Cheng." "What?" Ning Guodong thought he heard wrong. "Are you guys useless? Aren't you supposed to be trained by the Security Bureau? Why can't you handle this little investigation?" "Gongzi, we don't know what's going on. Logically speaking, our tracking was flawless. We don't know how that Yang Cheng could see through us, and he even paid for our meal. That's F***king amazing. Amazing my ass. Are you stupid pigs?" Ning Guodong scolded. "You don't have to do this anymore. Go home. I don't need useless people like you." After that, Ning Guodong hung up the phone and looked out the window with a gloomy face. He muttered to himself, "Looks like that kid does have some tricks up his sleeve. Could it be that the incident at the Yang family's compound was true? Yang Cheng, Yang Pejuan, Yang Gongming. Hiss. If he's really from the Yang family, then this is going to be bad." Ning Guodong was not stupid. In fact, he was far smarter than the average kid from an aristocratic family. Otherwise, Ning Guangyao would not have given him such an important task at such a young age. Combined with the incident at the Yang family's military compound, Yang Cheng's driving skills today, and the fact that Lin Ruoxi and Yang Cheng seemed to be husband and wife, Ning Guodong could conclude that Yang Cheng was definitely not just an employee of Yulei as he had previously known. It seemed like it was true that he was a descendant of the Yang family. "Yang Cheng, no matter who you are, you won't be happy for long. Lin Ruoxi, no woman can reject me, and you're no exception." After muttering to himself, Ning Guodong poured the red wine in the glass into his mouth along with the ice cubes. His teeth crushed the ice cubes, making crunching sounds. In the hall of the Dragon Garden Villa, Lin Ruoxi looked at Guo Xiuhua's expectant eyes and said with difficulty, Ankwa, I don't want to have children with Yang Chang yet. It's okay. I know you guys are busy these days. After we move, it won't be too late to have a child then. Guo Xuehua changed the date to after they moved. Yang Cheng saw Lin Ruoshi's face turning red and white. He couldn't bear it and asked with a smile, "You haven't told me where to move." "Mother Wang, you suggested it. Have you found a house yet?" Mother Wang pursed her lips and said, "There's no need to look for one. Our old house is still empty. I've arranged for people to clean it every week. We can just move in directly. The house is huge. It can accommodate more than 20 people. It's a big house from the Republic of China era." The old house that Mother Wang mentioned was naturally the old house that Lin Ruoshi mentioned, which was occupied by Lin Kuan. After Lin Kuan died, all his assets were returned to Lin Ruoshi's name. That house naturally belonged to Lin Ruoshi. However, Lin Ruoshi had been busy with other things. Whenever she thought of the old house, she would think of her deceased relatives. Naturally, she wasn't willing to talk about it. At this moment, when Mother Wang mentioned it, Lin Ruoshi revealed a hint of sadness in her eyes, but she didn't say anything. Mother Wang sighed. "Miss, I know you're sad whenever you think of that house. I also think of the days when old Madam and Madam were still around. But miss, it's not okay if you never go back. That's our real home after all. Speaking of which, this villa in Dragon Garden was moved here after you quarreled with the late old master. In my heart, I've always been looking forward to going home." Lin Ruoshi bit her lower lip and finally nodded. "It's time to go back. In that case, Mother Wang, get a moving company to come over in a few days. We're going to bring Hui Lin out to play for a day. Let's pick that day." Don't worry. I'll keep an eye on them," Mother Wang comforted her. Guo Xuehua and Hui Lin had heard about the past of the Lin family from Mother Wang. They knew that Lin Ruoshi must be feeling upset at this moment. Both of them went forward and held Lin Ruoshi's hand. Lin Ruoshi smiled, indicating that she was fine. Yang Cheng left the four women to chat downstairs while he slowly went up to the second floor. He came to Jinxiu's room and knocked on the door. The door opened. Jinxiu's pretty face looked a little tired. She hadn't fully grown yet. Her hair was tied up in a ponytail, and her lips were a little dry. At this moment, she looked like a proper student preparing for her exams. "Brother Yang, you're back. What's the matter?" Yang Cheng slid a kiss on Jinxiu's face. "Don't be too tired. There's still plenty of time. Take a proper rest. Do you have any questions that you need my help with?" Jinxiu smiled sweetly. "It's fine. It's much easier than when I sat at my stall. Brother Yang, you should rest early. It's not as tiring as you people who work to earn money." Yang Cheng felt a little guilty. He really wasn't tired at work now. He basically let Anshin do all the work, and he didn't do anything at all. Today, he only cared about flirting with Tang Wan. Jinxiu was a girl who could bear hardships. Yang Cheng knew that if he cared too much, she would feel uncomfortable. He didn't ask much and went back to his room to rest. The next morning, when Yang Cheng arrived at the office, Anshin was already in the office. She was reading some documents and sitting on her director's seat. This seductress really looked like a successful and strong woman. When Anshin saw Yang Cheng enter the office, she immediately put down the things in her hands and walked to Yang Cheng. She imitated the movements in ancient TV series and bowed. "Greetings, master." Yang Cheng couldn't help but laugh. "What did you learn this time? I'm not some feudal ruler. There's nothing I can do. Every day when I go home, my proud father always tells me to serve you well. I must not make you angry, and I must not throw a tantrum." Anshin pouted and said, "I can only keep thinking of new ways to make my boss happy." Yang Cheng went forward and hugged Anshin's soft body. He sat on the chair and placed Anshin's plump but on his thigh. He smiled and said, "If you're so annoying, why don't you move out of the house?" Anshin pouted and leaned on Yang Cheng's shoulder. She said leisurely, "So what if I'm annoyed? So what if I don't like him? He's my dad after all. I'm only here because of him. He raised me. When I was disobedient all those years ago, he still transferred money to my credit card. Though he had done some outrageous things to me, he did regard me as his daughter. I've already thought it through. In this world, no one is absolutely good to someone unconditionally. It just depends on whether the temptation is enough to make him abandon the other party. My dad abandoned me because of the Liu family, but now, because of you, he can't bear to part with me. Yangcheng frowned. What you said makes sense, but why do I feel a chill in my heart when I listen to it? If you meet a man who's stronger than me one day, are you going to follow him again? Anshin blinked her eyes and smiled charmingly. Of course not. It's because I see that I want to stick to you and not let go. I'm not my dad. If I do that, I'll be sick of myself. Besides, who would be stronger than you, my husband? Yangchen shrugged. I'm sure there is. Then I won't change either. Even though you're a master in a feudal society with many women and subordinates, I like you as a person. What can I do? An Xin said gently. Yangcheng's hand slowly touched Anshin's perky butt and rubbed it. Little vixen, we didn't do it yesterday. Why don't we make it up now? Anshin's dimples instantly became tender and beautiful, her eyes filled with dew. It's still early in the morning. What if someone is looking for you for something urgent? What lousy matter? Look at you. Your little mouth is already pouting, waiting for me to kiss you. Yang Chung said with a malicious smile. Anshin immediately pursed her small mouth and stared at Yang Chung bitterly. She could only blame it on the fact that every time she flirted with this man, that kind of enjoyment was too tempting. Other women may not even have a high court even after doing it dozens of times. But this lover of hers made her rise to the clouds every time. Just as Yang Chung was about to extend his claws into Anshin's skirt, the phone on his desk rang. Yang Chung sighed and could only pick up the phone. Who is it? It's so early. Anshin rolled her eyes. Who would answer the phone in the office like this? There is a moment of silence on the other side, and suddenly a familiar female voice said, Did I disturb you in that fox, Anshin? Making out? My little lover? Yang Chun was instantly embarrassed. He forced a smile and said, Oh, so it's Babe Mingyu. How should I put this? I was thinking about you just now and wanted to visit you. That's why I was unhappy when I was interrupted. Even though she knew it was a lie, Lu Mingyu still burst out laughing. You only know how to lie. All right then, since you miss me, come to my office immediately. I have something to say to you. Now, Yangqing looked at the beauty in front of him that was waiting for him to enjoy, licked his lips, and asked, How about in an hour? No, I have a meeting later. If you want to do that kind of bad thing, you have to arrange your own time. Lu Mingyu said angrily. Yang Cheng chuckled and said, All right then, I can do it at your place anyway. After Yang Cheng hung up the phone, Anshin looked at Yang Cheng with a look of disdain. Flirting with another woman in front of a woman, and even saying what you're going to do so straightforwardly, you're becoming more and more like an ancient, muddle-headed, and lecherous feudal lord. Yang Cheng pinched Anshin's cheek. What else can I do? Don't tell me you want me to throw you all away. Since I'm already here, I can't possibly spend all day worrying about how to treat you guys. Since I can't cry, I can only face it with a smile. Although she knew that Yang Cheng's reasoning was fallacious, Anshin still tacitly agreed. Yang Cheng put Anshin down from his lap, stood up, and prepared to go to Lu Mingyu's office. Ever since Lu Mingyu became the department head, she was as busy as Mo Chini every day. Today, she actually took the initiative to ask him to see her on a working day, so he was curious as to what important matter it was. Chapter 416. It had been a while since he visited the public relations department. The moment Yang Chun entered the office, he was surrounded by a group of older and younger sisters dressed in colorful clothing. The fragrance assailed his nostrils, causing Yang Chun to feel an incomparable nostalgia. Xiao Yang, are you arrogant now that you're the director? Why didn't you come back to visit us sisters after such a long time? A female public relations lady said. Yang Chun smiled embarrassedly. Didn't we just celebrate Chinese New Year? Everyone must be quite busy. I miss all of you beauties. What a smooth talker. I heard he found a vixen-like female secretary. She must be doing bad things every day, Zhang Kai, who was pouting and eating a stuffed biscuit, said. Yang Cheng was stunned. How did news of Anshin spread to the headquarters? It seemed like Anshin was really a vixen. He didn't know if it was a problem of women looking at women, or if Anshin was really eye-catching. Don't talk about him like that. Maybe he's in a proper relationship. Zhao Hongyan glanced strangely at Yang Cheng and said, What proper relationship? He said he's already married, Zhang Kai mumbled. Just eat your biscuit. Why are you poking your nose into other people's business? Zhao Hongyan poked Zhang Kai's round face. Yang Cheng had a feeling that this female colleague who was closest to him seemed to know something, but it wasn't appropriate for him to ask her. When he walked into Lu Mingyu's office, Lu Mingyu was sitting in front of the computer, looking at something. Lu Ming was wearing a moon-white uniform with a purple scarf wrapped around her neck. Her long black hair was tied up in a bun, and her face was exceptionally fair. Her mature aura was even stronger than when he first met her. What made Yang Cheng's eyes light up was that Lu Mingyu was actually wearing a pair of black-framed glasses for nearsightedness. She was probably a little nearsighted, but she was too lazy to wear contact lenses in the office, so she made do with normal glasses. With these glasses on, Lu Mingyu looked even more scholarly, like a university professor. While Yang Cheng's imagination ran wild, a nefarious fire ignited in his heart. Lu Mingyu saw Yang Cheng enter and smiled. Just as she was about to take off her glasses, Yang Cheng stopped her. "Hey, don't take it off." Yang Cheng smiled and stopped her. Lu Mingyu blinked her eyes and looked at Yang Cheng in confusion. She raised her hand and put it down. Yang Cheng walked to Lu Mingyu's side, tilted his head, and looked at her carefully. His gaze made Lu Mingyu blush. Then he smiled and said, "Mingyu, babe, who did you learn to dress like a bespectacled girl?" "Screw you, what bespectacled girl?" Lu Mingyu finally understood what this guy was thinking. She immediately took off her glasses and stuffed them into the drawer. Yang Cheng felt that it was a pity. However, girls were thin-skinned, so he couldn't ask her to wander around in front of him like this in the future, even if it was really tempting. Lu Mingyu patted the table and ordered Yang Cheng, "Don't wander around next to me. Sit across from me." Yang Cheng smiled bitterly. "We haven't been intimate for so long, yet you're not acting coquettishly. Instead, you want me to sit further away. How disappointing. Don't act coquettishly. I already told you that I'm not a little girl anymore. I'm long past that age. Who has the time to act coquettishly with you?" Lu Mingyu rolled her eyes at Yang Cheng. "I want to talk to you about serious matters." Yang Cheng walked to the water dispenser and poured himself a glass of water. Only then did Shan Shan sit on the chair opposite Lu Mingyu's desk. She took a sip and asked, "What is it? Speak." Lu Mingyu looked slightly worried. She pondered for a moment and said, "My parents want to see you." Puffed. Yang Cheng spat out half of his saliva. Lu Mingyu frowned and pouted unhappily. "What kind of reaction is this? Is this very funny?" Yang Cheng waved his hand and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "You told your parents about us?" "I did." Lu Mingyu sighed. "How can I not tell them? I'm already at this age. My relatives and friends who are younger than me are already married and have children. I haven't even sent a letter to my parents. Of course they would be anxious. If I don't tell them that I already have a man, wouldn't they force a man on me and marry me off?" Yang Cheng asked, "Then what did you say about our relationship?" Lu Mingyu said faintly, "How would I dare to say that I found a playboy? I can only say that I'm dating you. It's just that everyone is busy and I didn't tell them. So Uncle and Annie want to see me?" Yang Cheng roughly understood the situation. "Can I?" Lu Mingyu asked nervously. She was a little scared. Yang Cheng asked curiously, "Why not? They're your parents, and I kidnapped their daughter. Of course, I have to let them know about me. You have to ask the owner if you want to borrow something. How can you not ask the parents if you want to kidnap a woman? That sounds so bad. What kind of thing would kidnap a woman? Can't you say something nice?" Lu Mingyu blushed, but she was obviously happy and relieved. Then, Lu Mingyu thought of something and said awkwardly, "But what if they want us to get married?" You're already married." Yang Cheng looked straight at her and asked with a smile, "Are you willing to marry me?" Lu Mingyu was stunned. She pondered for a while and shook her head. "If I say that I'm not willing, it would be a lie. But I know that you definitely won't marry me. In your heart, I definitely can't compare to Chinny. I can't compare to that wife of yours that I don't know about. I can't even compare to that Aunt Sheen. Actually, the reason why I chose to be with you is because I need someone to rely on. Of course, I like you very much and I love you very much. But because of that, I just want to stay by your side like this. Marriage and whatnot. I gradually don't care too much about it anymore. Silly woman, don't talk nonsense. I'm not that biased. I'll solve this problem. If Uncle and Annie want to see me, please arrange a time. But it has to be in a few days. I have something to do these few days. Yang Cheng thought for a while and said. Lu Mingyu smiled and nodded. She didn't ask how Yang Cheng planned to solve this problem. She believed in herself and Yang Cheng. The two of them were silent for a while. Lu Mingyu was thinking about something while Yang Cheng was thinking about how to meet Lu Mingyu's parents. Suddenly, Lu Mingyu said, Hong Yin knows about me and you. Huh? Yang Cheng didn't react for a while. I say, Hong Yin knows about me being your lover. She came to my office 2 days ago and asked me about it. I admitted it. That girl was also interesting. She advised me not to ruin myself and not to ruin a lifetime of happiness because of a moment of emotion. Do you think what she said makes sense? Lu Mingyu asked with a faint smile. Yang Cheng patted his forehead. When he was in Japan, he had a hunch that Zhao Hongyan knew about his relationship with Lu Mingyu on the night of the earthquake. After all, she and Lu Mingyu were in the same room. There was such a big movement that night. She must have found out that Lu Mingyu wasn't in the room. A woman's heart was always more delicate than one could imagine. Zhao Hongyan must have deduced this matter based on many clues later. What she said makes sense. Following me is definitely not as worthwhile as following a man who treats you wholeheartedly. However, you have no other choice. Being with me is like walking into a dead end. You have to go all the way, Yang Cheng said firmly. Lu Mingyu squinted her eyes at him. I knew that a bully like you would say that. You talk about democracy and benevolence, but in fact, you are more selfish than anyone else. Yang Cheng rubbed his nose to hide his awkwardness and smiled. All right, there's a gathering with my colleagues tonight. You should go too, Lu Mingyu said with anticipation. Yang Cheng asked, Is it from the Public Relations Department? Not all of them. 2 days ago, I discussed with Qianni and organized a get-together between the Ministry of Finance and the Public Relations Department. There are many promising young men in the Ministry of Finance, and we can find some for our sisters. Lu Mingyu's eyes were filled with the light of gossip. Yang Cheng finally understood that these two women wanted to play matchmaker. However, he did not expect that Lu Mingyu and Mo Qianni's relationship would progress so quickly. They even organized an event together. Now, that Mo Qianni was living with Xiang Wei, his 3 women, in a sense, began to build different bridges to communicate each other's feelings. Yang Cheng wondered if he should call Anshin out next time and let the 4 women play mahjong. What kind of dirty thoughts are you thinking? You're laughing so hard that your chin is about to fall off, Lu Mingyu asked unhappily. Are you going? If I go, I won't make things awkward for you guys, right? Yang Cheng asked worriedly. Lu Mingyu burst into laughter. Do you think that Qianni and I are the kind of women who fight for a man's favor? We'll play our own games. I asked you to go because you used to be a part of our department. Otherwise, Humph, don't think that you're so great just because you're the director of the branch company. I still won't bother with you. Yang Cheng nodded. If that's the case, I have to go. I'm not someone who forgets my roots. After saying that, Yang Cheng called home and told Guxiuhua and Mother Wang that he wouldn't be home for dinner. After thinking for a while, Yang Cheng decided to give Lin Ruoxi a call. This was a form of respect between husband and wife. Remembering his mother, he had to remember his old wife, right? After the call connected, Lin Ruoxi's cold voice came from the other end. If you have something to say it quickly. Yang Cheng was used to this kind of tone, so he didn't mind it too much. Are you busy? Actually, it's nothing big. I just wanted to tell you that I won't be home for dinner tonight. Lin Ruoxi was silent for a moment, then suddenly asked, What are you going to do? Yang Cheng was surprised. Why did Lin Ruoxi take the initiative to care about him? It had never happened before. Even if he went out for a few days, she wouldn't even ask what he was doing. Shouldn't you be flattered? Why are you actually concerned about me? You are calling me out of respect, and I am also respecting you. That's why I'm asking you. If you don't want to say, then forget it. After that, Lin Ruoxi seemed to want to hang up. I will talk. Yang Cheng smiled bitterly. He seemed to have poked Lin Ruoxi's soft spot, and that woman was shy. It's a social gathering between the Public Relations Department and the Ministry of Finance. I will be attending. Lin Ruoshi asked hesitantly. Is it organized by Qianni and Lu Mingyu? Yes. Is there a problem? Lin Ruoshi suddenly said. I will go too. Huh. The phone in Yang Chen's hand slipped and fell to the ground. Chapter 417. President Lin's sudden favor had already greatly shocked Yang Cheng. This, I'll go too, directly caused Yang Cheng to be dumbfounded. Lu Mingyu, who was on the other side, saw Yang Cheng's eyes wide open with a baffled expression. His phone had fallen to the ground, and he couldn't help but wonder if Yang Cheng had been possessed. Are you all right? Lu Mingyu asked with concern. Yang Cheng picked up his phone from the ground, waved his hand to indicate that he was fine, and continued to speak to Lin Ruoshi. Wife, darling, are you feeling unwell today? It's not like you. Lin Ruoshi coldly said, I care about the employees' spare time and participate in some activities with the employees. Is that not okay? Or do you have something you don't want me to see? Yang Cheng hurriedly replied, Absolutely not. I can't be happier if you go. Yang Cheng smiled bitterly. Then it's a deal. Pick me up after work. I'll give you a call. After Lin Ruoshi finished speaking, she directly hung up. Pick her up after work? Wouldn't that let others know that they were together? Could it be that he wanted to announce his relationship? Yang Cheng was puzzled. He didn't know what Lin Ruoshi was thinking, but as far as Yang Cheng was concerned, all of this didn't matter. As long as Lin Ruoshi wasn't afraid of trouble, there was nothing for him to hide. Your wife is pregnant? Lu Mingyu suddenly asked curiously. Yang Cheng gave a stiff smile. What do you mean pregnant? Who said that? Then why did you ask if she was feeling unwell? Lu Mingyu smiled craftily. Yang Cheng felt that there was nothing to hide from his woman. He would know sooner or later. So he said, My wife said that she would also be attending the party tonight. At that time, you will be able to meet the mysterious main wife. Lu Mingyu's smile immediately disappeared, and she said worriedly, Then should I prepare something? What preparations? What kind of gift? Or what is your wife like? Lu Mingyu asked in a low voice. Yang Cheng smirked and said, It's not like you're a concubine meeting the first wife in the old society. Why are you so scared? How can I not be afraid? Of course it doesn't matter to you with your rash temper, but I've actually been quite worried. If we don't get along, you'll suffer, and so will I. Besides, I was the one who interfered, so of course I'm not in the right. You don't have to prepare anything. When you see her, you will understand that it is meaningless to prepare anything, Yang Cheng said. Wasn't that right? Even his job was given by others, and his salary was also paid by them. Whatever he prepared was the same as returning it to them. He didn't know if Lu Mingyu had listened to him. She pondered and ignored Yang Cheng. Yang Cheng saw that Lu Mingyu didn't have the mood to do anything else, so he tactfully walked out of the office. The afternoon passed in a blink of an eye. When it was time to get off work, Yang Cheng drove to the parking spot where he had arranged with Lin Ruoshi on time. As soon as he parked the car, he saw Lin Ruoshi, who was wearing a simple light brown fluff collar, a thick black skirt, and light lace stockings, walking over leisurely with a coffee-colored sparkling diamond bag in her hand. Lin Ruoshi, who usually looked solemn and indifferent, looked a lot more youthful and sexy in this outfit. Of course, such a simple evaluation was only thought of by a man like Yang Cheng, who was used to looking at his wife. If other men saw this scene, they would definitely be stunned for a while before they could move their eyes away. Not bad, not bad. You even know to dress up for tonight's party. My Ruoshi baby isn't ignorant. Yang Cheng praised. Lin Ruoshi seemed to be poked at her sore spot. She bit her lower lip and sat in the car while saying softly, I asked Qianni how to dress, and she told me to dress like this. Yang Cheng's expression froze. No wonder Lin Ruoshi would suddenly dress up like this. It turned out that she had consulted Mo Qianni's opinion. In that case, Mo Qianni already knew that I would bring Lin Ruoshi over. Then, did she tell Lu Mingyu about my relationship with Lin Ruoshi? Thinking that his two lovers would be together with his wife tonight, Yang Cheng couldn't help but feel uncertain. The venue for the party was the relatively famous Purple Moon Pavilion in Zhonghai. It was a high-end nightclub with all kinds of entertainment facilities. It could be considered a KTV, but it could also be called a nightclub. It had an all-inclusive flavor. After handing over the car to the waiter at the door, Yang Chung and Lin Ruoshi walked into the dimly lit hall of the nightclub. Because it was still early, there weren't many customers. The waiter shuttled back and forth, attentively leading Yang Chung and Lu Mingyu to the large private room that they had booked. Before Yang Chung and Lin Ruoshi arrived, the large private room was already in full swing with all kinds of discussions. Most of the discussions revolved around the explosive news that Mo Qianni and Lu Mingyu brought. General Lin was actually attending the party tonight. For this group of young employees from the Public Relations Department and Finance Department, they didn't even dare to raise their heads to look at Lin Ruoshi. She was like a snow mountain goddess that could only be looked at from afar and not blasphemed. But now, the goddess in their hearts was actually descending to their side and sitting together with them. How could they not be overjoyed and overwhelmed by the unexpected favor? What should I do? What should I do? I wanted to sing, but I'm worried that when General Lin comes, I won't even know how to open my mouth in fear, a female public relations employee said shyly. Another young man from the finance department laughed and said, "Let's ask General Lin to sing a song for us later. I'm really curious about how General Lin sings. Be careful not to make General Lin angry, or he'll deduct your salary," a girl said. "Even if I lose a month's salary, I still want to hear General Lin sing." At this moment, the door was pushed open from the outside. Yang Chung was the first to walk into the room with a smile, followed by Lin Ruoshi's graceful figure. In the large private room, there were more than 10 young men and women, and they were all so silent that a pin drop could be heard. They stared straight at Lin Ruoshi, who was dressed in a small, sexy outfit. At this moment, that blurry goddess's face was so clear that it made them feel incredulous. Lin, General Lin, a male employee, was nervous when he saw Lin Ruoshi in person, and he stood straight and bowed. The other employees were holding back their laughter, but they still greeted Lin Ruoshi. Mo Qianni and Lu Mingyu were sitting at the side, chatting and laughing. Seeing that Lin Ruoshi came, Mo Qianni naturally winked at Lin Ruoshi, while Lu Mingyu didn't dare to look at Lin Ruoshi's eyes, as if she was feeling guilty about something. When Yang Chung saw this scene, he immediately confirmed that Lu Mingyu knew that he and Lin Ruoshi were husband and wife, and it must have scared her. Lin Ruoshi was a little nervous in the beginning, but when she saw that these people were even more nervous than her, she felt relieved and faintly smiled. "Sit down. I'm just here to take a look, not to supervise. Didn't you guys hear me asking you guys to sit down? Why are you guys standing there like a log?" Yang Chung couldn't help laughing. At this time, everyone noticed Yang Chung, who was the first to enter, and they curiously wondered why Director Yang and General Lin would come together. However, it was obvious that no one would delve too deeply into such a question. No one would believe that Yang Chun was Lin Ruoshi's husband. At most, they would gossip about whether the two of them had a private relationship. A few employees made way for Lin Ruoshi to sit in the middle, next to Mo Qianni. However, Yang Chung didn't have such good treatment. He sat on a small stool at the side and grabbed a handful of sunflower seeds, looking at the employees fawning over Lin Ruoshi with great interest. At this moment, Lu Mingyu glared at Yang Chung and then revealed a wronged expression. Yang Chung thought that a woman's gaze really could speak. Lu Mingyu only needed to look at him to immediately make him feel embarrassed. After hiding it from her for so long, it turned out that his real wife was her immediate superior. "Everyone, stop circling around General Lin. Today we're here to have a good time, not to suck up to him. Hurry up and start ordering songs. Dancers, go and dance," Mo Qianni instructed her subordinates. The few youngsters who were circling around Lin Ruoshi immediately smiled and moved away, fiddling with the song ordering machine, and a few ladies from the Public Relations Department who were in a good mood also moved their bodies to the music, beating the beat. Lu Mingyu took advantage of the fact that no one was paying attention and stretched out her slender hand to pinch Yang Cheng's thigh, using a voice that only Yang Cheng could hear. "You baddie, why didn't you say so earlier? Hiding it from me for so long, I feel so embarrassed." "What's there to be embarrassed about? You didn't even ask me who my wife is." Yang Cheng said helplessly. Lu Mingyu had a bitter and sour expression. But General Lin definitely knows that I'm with you, and I'm still hanging around her all day. It's so embarrassing now that I think about it. Yang Cheng reached out to hold Lu Mingyu's slightly cold palm. Lu Mingyu shivered, nervously looking towards Lin Ruoshi. Seeing that Lin Ruoshi wasn't looking over, she didn't struggle out of Yang Cheng's hand. Don't be so scared, since I dared to bring Ruoshi here. It means that I'm not afraid of her confronting you. You are my woman. This is a fact that can't be changed. Yang Cheng comforted her, although he felt that saying this was a little unfair to Lin Ruoshi. In order to adjust the relationship between his confidants, he had to sacrifice Lin Ruoshi's status. At worst, he would love her more, make her happier, Yang Cheng thought shamefully. AI. Lu Mingyu suddenly sighed bitterly, smiled sadly, and said, to be honest, for a while, I was thinking if there would be a chance to do better than your real wife, and then you would marry me. Although I know it's just a daydream, at least I have some hope. But now, I think it's not only me. I guess Chinny also doesn't expect you to marry her because of this reason. Yang Cheng smiled indifferently. He was very clear that Lu Mingyu, like many other Yulei's employees, idolized Lin Ruoshi, so it was normal for her to say such words. At this time, a few young people had already started singing the old English song Home from the opening song, Take Off. A few male staff members were quite good at singing. They took turns to sing a few lines each. They looked quite good, with a bit of vicissitudes. When a microphone was handed to Yang Cheng, all the employees present were looking forward to Yang Cheng singing a few lines, and Yang Cheng didn't refuse much. Although he wasn't good at domestic pop songs, he was an expert in foreign ones. Another summer day in Paris or Rome, but I want to go home. Home. After singing a few lines fluently, Yang Cheng was about to pass the microphone, but when those employees heard Yang Cheng's pure English singing voice with a slightly hoarse voice, they all strongly urged Yang Cheng to continue singing. Mo Chinny and Lu Mingyu both clapped their hands for Yang Cheng, full of encouragement. However, Lin Ruoshi, who was sitting on the sofa, suddenly turned pale. The original reason why she came here, besides wanting to communicate more with the employees, was mainly because she was worried that Yang Cheng's other lovers would join forces. Mo Chinny was her best friend, and if she got too close to Lu Mingyu, it wouldn't be a good thing for her. So, she needed to show her face appropriately, and at the same time, she could give Yang Cheng some pressure so that he wouldn't be too frivolous. But now, Lin Ruoshi realized that she had made a huge mistake. She wasn't good at singing, and her voice was extremely challenging to a person's bottom line. Although she had learned from Yang Cheng before, in the end, because the Panda Collide action was too silly, Lin Ruoshi gave up halfway. Seeing that Yang Cheng's singing had won a round of cheers, and that almost everyone present had sung, Lin Ruoshi knew that it was very likely that everyone would ask her to sing. Although Lin Ruoshi didn't want to admit it, she had to agree. If she sang, then her reputation would be completely ruined. In the future, how could she raise her head in front of this group of employees? Although Lin Ruoshi's character was indifferent, it didn't mean that she was shameless. She hadn't lost her feminine modesty. Just as Lin Ruoshi was restless, Lu Mingyu left her seat and planned to go to the bathroom. But because she still didn't dare to face Lin Ruoshi, she walked out with her head down. Lin Ruoshi's eyes lit up, and she quickly said, "Hey, Mingyu, you're going to the bathroom, right? I'll go too." After saying that, before Lu Mingyu could react, Lin Ruoshi took the lead and walked out of the room first. Lu Mingyu thought that Lin Ruoshi was deliberately looking for an opportunity to ask her out for a chat, and her palms couldn't help but sweat. She turned around and angrily glared at Yang Cheng, then walked out of the room. Chapter 418. Lin Ruoshi walked out of the private room and walked a few steps in the dark and empty corridor. She came to a corner and leaned against the wall. Only then did she let out a sigh of relief. If she continued to sit like this, her employees would definitely ask her to sing a song. That scene, if she didn't sing, she would be letting down their expectant eyes. But if she sang, she would be letting down their expectations even more. For the first time in her life, Lin Ruoshi realized that singing was also very important. Lu Mingyu, who followed Lin Ruoshi out, was even more on edge. She originally wanted to go to the washroom, but now she had completely forgotten about it. Lin Ruoshi suddenly stopped walking in front of her and turned her back to her in silence. Lu Mingyu was even more certain that she was going to have a showdown with her. Gritting her teeth, Lu Mingyu mustered up her courage and stepped forward to say, "General Lin, regarding the matter between me and Yang Cheng, I beg for your forgiveness." After saying this, Lu Mingyu's fair face was full of blush. All kinds of worry, fear, shyness, and powerlessness made it difficult for her to extricate herself. She could only quietly wait for Lin Ruoshi's verdict. She knew that if the woman in front of her took a very decisive and ruthless action, she would definitely not have a good ending. Not to mention that her career was given by others, and they could take it back if they wanted to. Even if Yang Cheng still wouldn't leave her, she could only live under the shadow of his shadow. After all, she was the third party. Lu Mingyu smiled bitterly in her heart. This feeling of inferiority was deep in her bones. Lin Ruoshi was stunned, but she quickly understood what Lu Mingyu meant. In fact, Lin Ruoshi had seen Lu Mingyu and Yang Cheng walking together intimately before, but she didn't pay much attention to it, nor did she confirm her thoughts. As far as Lin Ruoshi knew before, Imo Qinni, Wei, and Anshin were Yang Cheng's lovers. Lu Mingyu was still suspicious. Today, she came to this party to see if Yang Cheng had an affair with other female employees in her company. Unexpectedly, before she carefully observed, Lu Mingyu mistakenly thought that she knew, so she confessed without being pressed. Looking at her subordinate, who was obviously a few years older than her, but looked like a punching bag, Lin Ruoshi couldn't help but smile bitterly. Lu Mingyu got the position of the public relations department head based on her performance and prestige. This subordinate could be said to be the future pillar of Yulei and Lin Ruoshi's right-hand man. But now, she had become her rival in love. Or rather, she couldn't be considered an enemy, but a competitor, because that man would never give up another woman for her. Do you know? Lin Ruoshi combed her hair, looked at Lu Mingyu, and said in a clear voice, "Before you said this, I was just suspecting, but I didn't expect it to be true." Lu Mingyu suddenly raised her head, widened her watery eyes, and opened her small mouth. She was stunned, and her expression was full of awkwardness and complexity. Did he just confess to his own mistake? Lu Mingyu cursed Yang Cheng 100 times in her heart. This bad guy, why didn't he say so earlier? Lin Ruoshi still didn't know about their relationship. But since she had already confessed, Lu Mingyu could only bite the bullet and say, "General Lin, I know I've let you down. All these years in the company, I've been subjected to some rumors, but you never showed any distrust towards me, and even let me sit in this position. But I really didn't know that Yang Cheng is your husband," Lin Ruoshi asked. "If you knew, would you still be with him?" Lu Mingyu was stunned and couldn't say a word. Yeah, if she knew that Yang Cheng was Lin Ruoshi's husband, would she still foolishly be with this married man? Stay away from him? Or sneaky? Still like this? Can't figure it out. Lin Ruoshi said, "You became like this not because of me, but because you chose him. General Lin, you don't have to say anything. I have nothing to say to you in this aspect." Lin Ruoshi's eyes were a little confused, and she said lightly, "Even I still don't understand why I married that man. So to me, it doesn't matter how his other women are with him." Lu Mingyu frowned. She didn't expect Lin Ruoshi to have such a reaction. She didn't hit or scold her, nor did she speak sarcastically to her, and she didn't even seem to blame her, which made her feel a little wrong. Was Lin Ruoshi really husband and wife with Yang Cheng? If that was the case, how could a wife be so calm when she saw her husband's lover? Lin Ruoshi seemed to have sensed Lu Mingyu's doubts and laughed self-deprecatingly. "To tell you the truth, when I found out that you were indeed Yang Cheng's lover, I was a little unhappy. Which woman would be happy that her man was fooling around outside? But I really don't know how to express my unhappiness. I won't scold him, and I won't fight like a shrew. I can't even find a way to argue. I've been working hard to learn how to be a good wife, but things always go against my wishes. I seem to be born lacking a lot of things that a woman should have. Maybe those things are what I don't have, but what you have. So, Yangcheng will be with you, and not just stay with me. Hearing Lin Ruoshi's words, Lu Mingyu clearly felt the disappointment and loneliness in it. That kind of powerless sadness made Lu Mingyu, who was obviously in a weak position, actually feel a trace of pity and pity for Lin Ruoshi. At this time, just when Lu Mingyu wanted to say a few words to ease the atmosphere, at least to put an end to this matter for the time being, a familiar figure suddenly came from the corner in front. Lu Mingyu's face suddenly turned ugly. Her black eyebrows slightly knitted, and she turned her head, not wanting to pay attention to that person. Lin Ruoshi noticed Lu Mingyu's strange expression and puzzledly turned her head just to see a handsome man in a striped suit walking over. "Isn't this Mingyu? Are you here, Play 2? What a coincidence. I didn't expect to meet you here." The man proudly walked between Lu Mingyu and Lin Ruoshi with an evil smile on his face. "Chikai, I have nothing to do with you anymore. Please go away," Lu Mingyu said coldly. This person was Lu Mingyu's former boyfriend, Chikai. However, after being injured by Yang Cheng in a restaurant and failing to call the police, he restrained himself a little and didn't dare to provoke Lu Mingyu again. He didn't expect to bump into her today, and he once again looked fearless. Chikai laughed and said, "How can you say that there's nothing to do with you? No matter what, we've been boyfriend and girlfriend for so many years in university. Although you're with a country bumpkin now, at least your face is quite decent. When the time comes, we can have some fun in private. I'm still very willing." With that, Chikai reached out to touch Lu Mingyu's face. Lu Mingyu hurriedly stepped back and stared at Chikai warily. "Go away. Have you forgotten that you were beaten up by Yang Cheng to the point of vomiting blood last time? To tell you the truth, he's in the private room behind me. If you dare to come up again, I'll call him." Chikai's eyes revealed a bit of poisonous fire. "So he's here. I've been thinking about looking for that country bumpkin these days. There's really no time like the present." Lin Ruoshi, who was listening to this conversation from the side, seemed to be deep in thought. She seemed to understand why Yang Cheng and Lu Mingyu had such a relationship. It seemed that her husband, who always did not do proper work, always played the role of a guardian knight in front of other women. Seeing the anger in Lu Mingyu's eyes, Lin Ruoshi sighed slightly. Back then, Lu Mingyu had been hurt badly by this man, called Chikai. They were both pitiful women. How could she resolutely hurt her again? "Mingyu, go back to the private room. Ignore him." Lin Ruoshi walked over and held Lu Mingyu's arm and said softly. Chikai only noticed Lin Ruoshi at this time. Just now, he had his back to her, so he didn't take a closer look. Now that he saw her, his eyes immediately burst with a bit of manic eagerness, like a hungry beast seeing a fresh cow or sheep, and his breathing became a bit heavier. "Where did this beauty come from, Mingyu? Why don't you introduce her to me?" Chapter 419. Chikai grinned maliciously. His usual righteous demeanor was nowhere to be seen. He stared at Lin Ruoshi's cold face with an evil glint in his eyes. Lin Ruoshi felt uncomfortable and frowned. However, she didn't know how to curse and didn't like to talk to strangers, so she didn't pay much attention to Chikai. She pulled Lu Mingyu and wanted to walk into the room. Lu Mingyu found that Chikai had shifted his target to Lin Ruoshi. She was more worried than if she was threatened. After all, if Lin Ruoshi was wrong because of her, how could she still have the face to see Yang Cheng? She wouldn't have the face to work in front of Lin Ruoshi. "General Lin, let's go in." Lu Mingyu pulled Lin Ruoshi's hand and wanted to go back to the private room to find Yang Cheng. This kind of thing should be left to the man to handle. Don't worry. After all, Chikai was a special forces soldier, so he quickly turned to the two women. With a strange smile, he leaned over and enjoyed the fragrance of the two women. When had Lin Ruoshi been provoked by such a strange man? She took a few steps back in panic, and her dimples turned red because of anger. "Ah, you're quite shy." Chikai smiled proudly and took another step forward, forcing the two women to retreat. "I was tired of playing with that Wang Yu a while ago. I was worried that there wasn't a suitable woman to fill the gap. I didn't expect to meet the best today. Wang Yu was naturally the PR woman who Yang Cheng said looked like Matsusha Makid. She had hooked up with Chi Kai in a restaurant before. Obviously, she had been abandoned by Chi Kai. You're shameless. Lu Mingyu listened to the unbearable words and cursed in a low voice. So what? Why don't you come and play with me? Chi Kai smiled and continued to approach. At this time, the door of the private room in the back was opened. Yang Qing took out a cigarette from his pocket and smiled playfully at Chi Kai. Although the music in the private room was rather shocking, Yang Qing's keen hearing could still hear the discordant sounds outside the door, so he found an excuse to walk out. Chi Kai felt a chill behind him. When he turned around, he saw Yang Cheng appear in front of him. "It's you," Chi Kai said through gritted teeth. This unremarkable man had beaten him to the point of vomiting blood with just one punch last time, which really embarrassed him. Now that he had met his enemy, his eyes were exceptionally red. He hissed, "Thanks to you last time, I had to drink a lot of Chinese medicine to recover. Today, I won't let you leave so easily." Yang Cheng ignored Chi Kai's provocation. He didn't even bother to think about why Chi Kai was so strangely confident. Instead, he walked past Chi Kai and asked Lin Ruoxi and Lu Mingyu, "Are you guys all right?" Lin Ruoxi shook her head, while Lu Mingyu looked at Yang Cheng apologetically. Yang Cheng smiled, indicating that he was fine. Then, he turned around and said to Chi Kai indifferently, "Are you done talking?" Chi Kai was still waiting for Yang Cheng to say something harsh, but he realized that Yang Cheng didn't have any intention of saying anything. Instead, he directly asked him what else he wanted to say. This was simply not taking him seriously at all. Chi Kai was so angry that he laughed. His eyes widened and were filled with cold light. "How dare you ignore me? Do you think that I can't do anything to you just because you have a backer and the police don't dare touch you? So what if you're good at fighting? Do you know who I came here with tonight?" At this time, Yang Cheng had already taken out his favorite cigarette. Just now, there were only girls in the room, so he was too embarrassed to smoke. In fact, he had been bored for a long time and wanted to have puff. Now that he came out, it was the right time to light it up for himself. As soon as the cigarette was lit, Yang Cheng enjoyed it and exhaled the second-hand smoke of inferior quality tobacco. Chi Kai frowned and looked at Yang Cheng with disdain. "Why aren't you talking? Smoking a cheap cigarette. Do you think you're the boss of the underworld?" Yang Cheng sneered. Suddenly, a lightning-fast slap landed on the left side of Chi Kai's face. Chi Kai was caught off guard by the sudden attack and was thrown into a state of confusion. The force directly slammed him into the wall of the corridor at the side. When Lin Ruoxi and Lu Mingyu saw Yang Cheng's sudden attack, although they had vented their anger, they were still shocked and retreated behind Yang Cheng. Chi Kai's left cheek immediately swelled up, and a trace of blood seeped out of the corner of his mouth. He touched his left cheek in disbelief, and then the corner of his mouth twitched. His eyes were burning with anger as he stared at the calm Yang Cheng and growled, "If you hit me again?" Slap. An even louder slap suddenly landed on Chi Kai's right cheek. Chi Kai had just finished speaking when he was slapped into the wall on the other side by another force. This time, blood seeped out of the corners of Chi Kai's mouth. Chi Kai was dumbfounded. How could this guy just hit him like that without even saying a word? Moreover, Yang Cheng's speed was completely beyond his imagination. As a special forces soldier, he didn't even know how Yang Cheng made his move. When he came back to his senses, he had already been hit. Moreover, it was as if Yang Cheng had been standing in front of him the whole time with a cheap cigarette in his mouth, looking at him as if he was a clown. Yes, that was a ridiculing look at clown. This made Chi Kai's arrogant heart unable to accept it, and he hated it. "Are you thinking that I should first say a few harsh words like you, and then make a move? Unfortunately, you guessed wrong. I'm too lazy to talk nonsense with you. If you say a word, I'll slap you. I won't kill you. I'll just slap your face like this. If you want to be slapped, then continue," Yang Cheng said with a frown as he puffed out smoke. Lin Ruoxi and Lu Mingyu, who were at the back, had long been shocked by Yang Cheng's ruthlessness. They suddenly felt a little sad for Chi Kai. He was beaten too badly, and his face was like a pig's head. Chikai was furious. Just as he was about to curse again, he immediately choked. He didn't want to be hit again. At this moment, his face was burning and he had lost consciousness. Glaring fiercely at Yang Cheng, Chikai remembered that he still had a big backer today, so he didn't want to fight with Yang Cheng anymore. He quickly ran away and shouted, "Bastard, don't go, I'll call someone to take care of you." After that, Chikai ran into a private room not far away in a panic. Yang Cheng turned around and said to Lin Ruoxi and Lu Mingyu, "You go in, I'll take care of this." Lin Ruoxi looked at Yang Cheng with a complicated look. She knew that she couldn't help here, but fortunately, she knew how powerful Yang Cheng was, so she wasn't too worried. She just said, "Be careful." Then she pulled Lu Mingyu, who had a worried face, back to their room. Just when the two women returned to their room, a few figures also rushed out from the place where Chikai went. At the front were 4 neatly dressed bodyguards in black. They all seemed to be soldiers who practiced hard qigong. Their temples were bulging, and their faces looked a bit resolute. Following that, Chikai followed closely behind a tall man as he walked out of the private room, pointing at Yang Cheng as he cursed and muttered something. That man was surrounded by a few scantily dressed girls. Obviously, they were ready to watch a good show. "Young Master Tang, this brat is so lawless just because he has people in the Zhonghai Police Department. Last time, I was beaten up by him at the restaurant, and today he beat me up again. I didn't even touch him." Chikai was on the verge of crying, complaining about being wronged. Unexpectedly, before Chikai finished his prepared lines, that young Master Tang showed a happy and excited expression. He shouted, "Brother-in-law," and ran towards Yang Cheng in big strides. Everyone was dumbfounded. Brother-in-law? This young Master Tang that Chikai was relying on was coincidentally Tang Ju, who Yang Cheng had met the day before yesterday. He was also Tang Wan's younger brother. When Yang Cheng saw Tang Ju, he smiled helplessly. This burly man always acted like a spoiled child in front of his sister. Yang Cheng was really afraid of him. The way he called him brother-in-law made his liver hurt. "Ha, brother-in-law, we are really fated to meet here. I was wondering why my left eyelid was twitching when I went out tonight. It turns out that I'm going to meet a benefactor. You're the backing that Brat was talking about," Yang Cheng said with a faint smile as he glanced at the dumbfounded Chikai. "Backing his sister. That brat's father works for the Tang family. When I came here to play, he insisted that he brought me here to have some fun. He begged me for a few days. I didn't want to come, but he is under the Tang family. As a member of the Tang family, I have to give him some face, right? Just now, he came in crying that someone looked down on the Tang family and beat him up to provoke me. If I knew that this brat was provoking you, I would have smashed his head with a wine bottle." Tang Ju grinned and said. When Tang Ju said that, Chikai instantly felt a chill on his forehead and his legs went soft. He knew who Tang Ju's sister was. It could only be a woman, but Tang Ju actually called Yang Cheng brother-in-law. Could it be that Yang Cheng was Tang Wan's man? That couldn't be right. The Tang family's Missy, Tang Wan, had never been married. She didn't even have a boyfriend. But how could Tang Ju call her that? Although this muddle-headed young master of the Tang family wasn't particularly outstanding, he was still famous for being a hedonistic and careless person. If one didn't have real ability and a strong background, he wouldn't even bother with them. But no matter what the truth was, it was obvious that he was in trouble. Originally, he thought that with the presence of the young master of the Tang family, one of the 4 wealthiest families in Beijing, and the chief family was the direct descendant of the Tang family, Tang Ju would definitely stand up for him. However, judging from the current situation, he was nothing compared to this country bumpkin. "Come here." Tang Ju curled his finger at Chikai in annoyance. Chikai kept quiet out of fear. He walked towards Tang Ju with a bitter face and didn't dare to look at Yang Cheng. "Kneel down," Tang Ju ordered again. Chikai exclaimed, but when he saw Tang Ju glaring at him, he didn't dare to resist and kneeled on the ground. Tang Ju cursed. "Damn it. Why don't you open your eyes and see who this is? Is my brother-in-law someone you can provoke? You think you're worthy of me standing up for you?" The Chi family has come to an end in your generation. With that, Tang Ju kicked Chi Kai's door. Ouch! Chi Kai cried out in pain as he was kicked to the ground again. There was a boot print on his face. Yang Chung watched as Tang Ju lectured Chi Kai. He couldn't be bothered to say anything. After burning the cigarette in his hand, he threw the butt on the ground and said, "Since he's your Tang family's dog, you should catch him and discipline him. Of course, if you can't discipline him well, there's no need to keep him." Yes, yes, yes. Brother-in-law is right. Tang Ju said happily. Brother-in-law, when are you going to teach me how to drive? My sister gave me another Macallan. Also, when are you going to hold a wedding ceremony with my sister? Yang Chung felt a headache. He frowned and waved his hand. You don't have to care about me and your sister. I still have a gathering with my colleagues. Take your men and leave. Sigh, no problem at all. Tang Ju wasn't angry at all. Instead, he felt that Yang Chen's disdain towards him was the demeanor of a great person. However, he didn't leave immediately. Instead, he waited for Yang Chen to return to the room. Yang Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Tang Ju was a naive person. Since he recognized Yang Chen as his brother-in-law, he would do everything he could to please Yang Chen. Originally, he was going to torture Chi Kai until he was half dead. After all, this guy still refused to change and bullied his woman. But now, it seemed that this was even more unbearable than torturing him until he was half dead. After all, the entire Chi family might lose their support. Yang Chen shook his head and returned to the private room. Tang Ju sent Yang Chen in happily. He clicked his tongue and sighed. No one knew what he was sighing about. After a long time, he turned around. Tang Ju seemed to have thought of something. He squatted down and picked up the cigarette, but that Yang Chen threw on the ground. He looked at it as if it was a treasure. He called a bodyguard over and asked, "Do you know the brand of this cigarette? Is it easy to smoke?" The bodyguard looked at Tang Ju awkwardly and said softly, "Gongzi, this is the cheapest kind of low-quality cigarette. It's only 2 yuan for a pack on the roadside. It's hard to smoke. It's so spicy that it can kill you." "What do you know? How can my brother-in-law's cigarette be ordinary?" Tang Ju patted the bodyguard's head and said, "Go and buy me a box of this kind of cigarette. I'll be smoking this kind of cigarette in the future. Don't take out any cigars or anything else." The bodyguard thought that he had misheard. "On your head. This is the kind of cigarette a man should smoke." Tang Ju smiled proudly and said, "You guys don't understand. I'm learning for brother-in-law's charm. Didn't you see how domineering brother-in-law was when he smoked just now? That's what a man should be like. Sigh, I've lived my life in vain. If I had met brother-in-law earlier, I might have been able to drive an F1 car. After all, he's a national first-class racer." Sigh. Looking at Tang Ju, who was shaking his head and sighing, the bodyguards looked at each other. Chi Kai, who was lying on the ground in pain, wanted to bang his head against the wall and kill himself. It seemed that the descendants of big families were all crazy. Chapter 420. When Yang Chung returned to the private room, a few ladies who were already having fun were pulling Emo Chienyi with all their might. While singing loudly, they stuffed the microphone next to Emo Chienyi's mouth and asked her to sing along. Emo Chienyi didn't seem to dislike this kind of impolite play. These young ladies drank some foreign wine and were dizzy. In their excitement, they completely ignored their positions in the company. On the other side, Lu Mingyu forced a smile, while Lin Ruoshi quietly sat on the sofa with some thoughts in her mind. When they saw Yang Chung enter the room, the two women looked at him. Yang Chung smiled and nodded, indicating that the trouble had been solved. At first, Lu Mingyu looked as if she had been relieved of a heavy burden, but then she revealed a guilty expression. Yang Chung walked forward and patted Lu Mingyu's shoulder without batting an eyelid. He didn't hide his woman's concern just because Lin Ruoshi was by his side. Yang Chung was very clear that instead of being timid and secretive, it was better to express his thoughts honestly. Lin Ruoshi looked at Yang Cheng's small action indifferently and didn't care about the nervous look Lu Mingyu threw at her. "Let's go," Lin Ruoshi suddenly said. Yang Chung just sat down and asked in a daze, "Go." "I'm not feeling well," Lin Ruoshi said expressionlessly. Yang Chung smiled bitterly. It definitely wasn't a physical discomfort, but a part of her heart was probably uncomfortable. "You're not willing?" Lin Ruashi seemed to be a little angry, and her voice became colder. Yang Chung didn't know how he offended this little lady. There were a lot of things to do tonight, but he obviously couldn't go against Lin Ruashi's wishes at this time. Otherwise, it would be obvious that he didn't want to continue living. "All right, since you're not feeling well, you can go back." Yang Chung stood up and said to Lu Mingyu, "We have something to do, so we have to go first. But don't let your imagination run wild." Lu Mingyu nervously looked at Lin Ruashi and saw that Lin Ruashi was also looking at her and shook her head slightly. Based on Lu Mingyu's years of experience at Yulei, she naturally knew that Lin Ruashi was telling her that it had nothing to do with her. "Then take General Lin home. Drive slowly," Lu Mingyu said softly. Her voice was barely audible in the loud music. Yang Chung nodded, turned around, and left the room with Lin Ruashi. When the two left, some of the employees in the room who were still awake were puzzled. However, when they asked Lu Mingyu, the answer they got was that General Lin had something to do and Director Yang had to drive her home. They didn't know what was going on. On the other hand, Yang Chung, who had left the Purple Moon Pavilion, followed behind Lin Ruashi at a moderate pace. The two of them walked to the parking lot without saying a word and got into the car. The car drove out of the parking lot and entered the main road of the city. At this time, it was deep into the night. The lights outside dyed the sky mottled and dazzling. The radio in the car was playing Andre's bel canto from a certain radio station. Lin Ruashi, who hadn't said a word, looked at the night view outside the window for a while and suddenly turned off the radio in the car. "In the end, you still didn't listen to me," Lin Ruashi said dejectedly. Yang Chung furrowed his brows. "What's the matter?" "I heard something at the door just now. The man who called you brother-in-law, the one who was called young Master Tang, is Tang Wan's younger brother." Lin Ruashi looked at Yang Chung fixedly. Yang Chung smiled awkwardly. "That guy can't control his mouth. Don't listen to his nonsense." Lin Ruashi shook her head lightly. "I told you long ago, don't have anything to do with Tang Wan, but you really only care about yourself and won't listen to me. You can't help it, do you? Do you really have to flirt with all the beautiful women?" "Ruashi, I really didn't flirt with Tang Wan. It was Tang Wan who took the initiative to look for me. She has feelings for me. I can't just kick her away, can I? Moreover, I didn't take the initiative to ask her out. We've been working together recently. So coincidentally, I got to know her younger brother, Tang Ju, in Zhonghai," Yang Chung said helplessly. What he said was the truth. He wasn't pushing the blame to Tang Wan. He was just stating the facts. Lin Ruashi seemed to be slightly surprised, but she didn't seem happy. "Even if Tang Wan really looked for you, if you really have nothing to do with her, why would Tang Ju call you brother-in-law? I heard it from the door. Moreover, I've reminded you I won't stop you from other women, but don't ever touch Tang Wan. Are you really that unwilling to listen to me and insist on touching her? Do you know how powerful the Tang family in Beijing is? Do you know how complicated Tang Wan's background is?" Yang Chung smiled. "So you already knew that Tang Wan is from the Tang family in Beijing. I only found out 2 days ago. It seems that my wife has gotten hold of a lot of information without batting an eyelid." Lin Ruashi ignored Yang Cheng's joke and said, "Otherwise, why do you think a woman like Tang Wan can control the Maple Group and become the chairman? Do you think that Secretary Fang Zhongping is really infatuated with Tang Wan, so he doesn't dare to touch her? If it wasn't for Tang Wan's background, it's not impossible for Secretary Fang Zhongping to snatch her away. Why would he wait for more than 20 years to chase after Tang Wan?" Yang Chung didn't think about it, but he knew the reason after Lin Ruashi pointed it out. No wonder Fang Zhongping persistently waited for Tang Wan for more than 20 years, no matter how indifferent Tang Wan treated him. As the man closest to Tang Wan, how could he give up this opportunity to reach the sky in a single bound? After all, he and Tang Wan have the same child, Tang Tang. If that's the case, doesn't it mean that Fang Zhongping hates me to death now? I seem to have snatched his first position." Yang Chen laughed at himself. Lin Ruashi looked at Yang Chung. "How can you still laugh? You not only offended the Fang family, but also the Tang family. You are, what am I? Yang Chun looked at Lin Ruoshi's face, which had turned red from holding back her words. He found it rather interesting. You're a scoundrel, Lin Ruoshi said angrily. AI, you should say. You're my good husband. I don't want others to take you away. That's cute, Yang Chung said with regret. Lin Ruoshi really wanted to cover her head and hide in her collar. How could this man be so shameless? How could he say such mushy words? Although she did want to say, you're my husband, how could she say it so blatantly? Don't worry. Yang Chung reached out his hand to comfort Lin Ruoshi. When she wasn't paying attention, he touched her delicate face. I know why you were so angry just now, but you don't have to worry too much. Although I don't like trouble, I'm not afraid of trouble. Tang Wan's matter, Feng Zhongping's matter, and the Tang family's matter, I'll take care of it. Nothing will happen. Lin Ruoshi leaned against the car door, avoiding Yang Cheng's perverted hand. Her moist eyes were filled with shyness. Recently, the two of them were more and more intimate, making her heart beat faster. She felt like she wasn't herself. I can't be bothered with your romantic affairs. As long as Annie doesn't think that it's because of me again, I'll be fine as long as you don't go around fooling around and causing trouble. I've already advised you. Lin Ruoshi felt wronged. What kind of wife was she? What kind of wife would help her husband select lovers? Although she didn't fulfill her duties as a wife, this guy had too many lovers, right? However, Yang Chung suddenly fell in a deep thought. He didn't say a word on the way home, which made Lin Ruoshi feel weird. When they returned to the villa, the lights in the living room were still on. The television was replaying the evening news, but only Guo Shuehua was watching it. Mother Wang and Hui Lin must have gone back upstairs to sleep. Guo Shuehua was wearing her pajamas and a blanket. Her hair was let down, and her beautiful face looked extremely tired. Hearing the noise, Guo Shuehua turned around and saw Yang Chung and Lin Ruoshi walking into the house side by side. She couldn't help but show a gratified and loving smile. You're back. Did you have fun? Lin Ruoshi replied gently. Auntie Guo, you don't have to wait for us. We're not kids anymore. You'll always be kids in front of your elders. How can a mother not worry about her children? You'll understand when you become a mother in the future, Guo Shuehua said to Lin Ruoshi with a smile. Lin Ruoshi lowered her head and didn't dare to reply. She was afraid that it would lead to the topic of her having children again. Although she was mentally prepared to spend the rest of her life with Yang Chung, the problem of having children, she felt that it would take a long time for her to prepare herself mentally. Although the two of them had already slept together, it was exactly that experience that left Lin Ruoshi traumatized. One must know that before she met Yang Chung, she had never even held hands with a man before. In fact, in her world, there was no such thing as love between a man and a woman. But in the end, her chastity was handed over to a sloppy mutton skewer vendor. Moreover, it was such a wild and unforgettable night. At that time, Lin Ruoshi wanted to commit suicide by jumping off a building. It was all from the bottom of her heart. Even though Yang Chung seemed to be a completely different person now, for Lin Ruoshi, there were too many scars that couldn't be erased. It was natural for her to feel fear. Yang Chung looked at Guo Shuehua quietly with a complicated expression. Guo Shuehua was a little puzzled. What happened to her son? She asked with concern. Yang Chung, is there something wrong? Yang Chung took a deep breath and grabbed Lin Ruoshi's small hand with one hand. This made Lin Ruoshi, who was beside him, startled. She thought to herself, is this rascal trying to make me do something embarrassing in front of Guo Shuehua? Ruoshi, don't call her Aunt Guo. You have to call her mom in the future. Yang Chung said. Lin Ruoshi was stunned. Guo Shuehua also stood there stupefied. As Yang Chung spoke, he grabbed Lin Ruoshi. As he knelt down, Lin Ruoshi's body involuntarily knelt on the ground. Mom, we didn't kneel during the New Year. Now, as your children, we all kneel down and kowtow to you. The old man was right. In this world, no parent owes their children anything. I have no reason not to call you Mom, because the person who shot me with a gun was not you, but that person. After Yang Chung finished speaking, he kowtowed heavily on the ground. Lin Ruoshi looked at Yang Chung in a daze. In the end, she was a little stunned, but she still couldn't help but kowtow with Yang Chung. Her face was red, and she said in a weak voice, "Mom." At this time, Guxiuehua was already crying. She wanted to say something, but she couldn't speak because she was sobbing. Chapter 4:21. Many things happened that night, but Yang Chung didn't feel that it was complicated. Those that should be beaten, those that should be acknowledged, and those that should be ignored, he didn't know. Lin Ruoshi and Guxiuehua, on the other hand, had a sleepless night. Lin Ruoshi felt that her identity as a daughter-in-law had suddenly become heavier. She was worried about how she could continue to get along with Guxiuehua and how she could continue to call her mom. Guxiuehua was even more direct. She was excited. After waiting for so long, she finally got what she wanted. She was like a traveler who was about to die of thirst in the vast desert and finally saw an oasis in front of her. She was wild with joy. When she thought of the moment when her son and daughter-in-law kneeled down and called her mom, she felt that she could die without regrets. At the same time, Guxiuehua was thinking about the future of Yang Chung and his wife. The most important thing was to urge Lin Ruoshi to give birth to a grandchild. This matter must be put on the agenda. She couldn't wait for too long, and she couldn't let Yang Chung suffer all the time. As for the matter of Yang Cheng's philandering, she couldn't care less anymore. Mothers are always selfish. The son is definitely bigger than the daughter-in-law, and the daughter-in-law will suffer in the end. Guxiuehua was even considering when to let Yang Chung meet his younger brother, Yang Lai, to familiarize them with each other. It was a pity that Guxiuehua didn't know that Yang Lai hated Yang Chung to the core. It was just that he happened to return to Kunlun, and he didn't have the ability to take revenge for the time being. The next day, it was finally time to bring Huilin to the hot spring resort to play, as they had agreed before. The weather was good. Although it was still cold, it was a sunny day. Early in the morning, when Yang Chung was about to leave for the car, Lin Ruoshi suddenly stopped him and asked, "Only the three of us are going today?" Yang Chung smiled sheepishly. "I promised Aunt Sheen. I'll pick her up later." "Do you really want to do this?" Little sister Lin's gaze was clearly filled with displeasure. Yang Chung spread his hands. "Don't be so stingy. You are the CEO of Ulay International. Aunt Sheen is just a small secretary. Do you think my Ruoshi baby is afraid of her?" There's no need to goad me." Lin Ruoshi glared at Yang Chung with dissatisfaction. She scoffed at his little tricks and said, "Since there are four of us, you should change to another car. If you put too many things in the car, it'll be too crowded." Yang Chung was stunned. "Why do you have luggage? Tomorrow and the day after are both weekends. If there's nothing urgent, it's good to rest at the resort for 2 days and let Huilin have some fun," Lin Ruoshi said firmly. "Go to the garage and drive the Lexus SUV out." Yang Chung didn't remember which cars were in Lin Ruoshi's garage because there were too many of them. It was said that Lin Ruoshi kept some luxury cars outside because she couldn't fit all of them at home. So since Lin Ruoshi said that she wanted a bigger SUV, he could just go and get it himself. After Yang Chung went to the garage to get the car, Lin Ruoshi called Huilin to the roadside. Huilin dragged 2 small suitcases and looked around in confusion. She asked, "Sister, where's Brother Yang?" Lin Ruoshi took her suitcase from Huilin and said, "Ask him to get a bigger car so that he can sit more comfortably." Huilin obviously didn't have her own opinions in front of her sister. Whatever Lin Ruoshi said, she would just listen and say, "Oh." After a while, Yang Chung still didn't come up. Huilin said softly, "Sister, actually you don't have to bring me out. I know you guys are busy too. I'm fine." Lin Ruoshi didn't say anything. She reached out and stroked Huilin's hair. Huilin seemed to sense something. She looked at Lin Ruoshi and smiled gently. Virum. With the roar of the engine, Yang Chun finally drove the car out of the garage. A Lexus LX 570 shone like a black diamond under the sun. It was like a ferocious beast that had broken out of its cage. It ran over the lawn and stopped in front of the 2 women. The body of the car was more than 5 meters long and 2 meters wide. It made Lin Ruoshi and Huilin look very small beside the car. Yang Chung rolled down the car window and said to Lin Ruoshi, "Honey, You are obviously showing off to Anshin that you are rich. This car costs more than 2 million yuan in Huaxia. Even if there are only 4 of us, we don't need such a huge SUV. The engine of the 5.7-liter V8 had 381 horsepower, which was 100 horsepower more than a normal large SUV. This was not a car that could be driven by money. It's none of your business. I like it. Besides, she is the daughter of the Yin family. Can't she afford this kind of car? Lin Ruoxi didn't care what Yang Chung said. She pulled Hui Lin and placed the luggage in the last row of the car. Lin Ruoxi originally wanted to sit in the back row with Hui Lin, but she thought that if she sat in the back row, Anshin would be sitting in the front passenger seat. So she got out of the car, opened the door of the front passenger seat, and sat in. Yang Chung looked at Lin Ruoxi's series of thoughts and actions. He couldn't help but find it funny, but he didn't expose Lin Ruoxi's thoughts. He arrived at the place where he had arranged to pick up Anshin. It was at the entrance of a cafe not far from the company. Anshin was wearing a bright orange headset and a white down jacket. She looked at ease in the cold wind on the street. There was also a small suitcase in front of Anshin's feet. It was obvious that the women had made some preparations before going out. Yang Chung was the only one who had nothing. It seemed that Anshin didn't want to arouse Lin Ruoxi's disgust. She didn't put on any makeup. Maybe it was because she hadn't slept well for the past few days. She had a slight panda eye, which made her look a little cute and funny. Seeing a huge SUV stop in front of them, Anshin opened her mouth in surprise when she saw that it was Yang Chung in the car. Then, she consciously sat in the middle seat. "Good morning, big sister Ruoxi." Anshin greeted Lin Ruoxi the moment she got in the car. Lin Ruoxi furrowed her brows. As the saying goes, you don't hit someone who's smiling. With Anshin's soft personality, it wasn't good for her to pick on her. Anshin's flexible personality came from her many years as a flight attendant. Serving the passengers on the plane, of course, she had to put down her status as a young miss. Therefore, she was completely different from the daughters of big families. Anshin knew that she definitely couldn't compete with Lin Ruoxi. She might as well be a little girl and not fight for anything. Therefore, she didn't think about anything else. She had to please the main wife first. "Am I that old? Why do you call me big sister?" Lin Ruoxi replied indifferently. Anshin pretended to be wronged and said in a low voice, Then call me little sister Ruoxi." Lin Ruoxi instantly felt uncomfortable. After a moment of silence, she said, "Forget it. I'll just call you big sister." Looking at Lin Ruoxi's helpless face and pouting slightly, Yang Chung, who was driving the car, forced himself not to laugh out loud. Meanwhile, Anshin winked at Hui Lin and made a victory gesture. Hui Lin covered her mouth and chuckled. Anshin was her first real friend in Zhonghai. Therefore, even though she felt sorry for Lin Ruoxi, she didn't want Anshin to be bullied by Lin Ruoxi. The journey to the hot spring resort took more than an hour. The 3 women in the car couldn't possibly sleep in the car so early in the morning. Not knowing when it started, Anshin started talking to Hui Lin about a certain Korean drama. They discussed how touching the dialogues were, which mother was bad, which female lead was brave, and so on. Initially, Lin Ruoxi didn't want to chat with Anshin. However, Lin Ruoxi suddenly realized that her younger sister, Hui Lin, had long become a little traitor. She was actually chatting happily with that sly fox, Anshin. What's worse was that the 2 women were talking about the Korean dramas that Lin Ruoxi was most interested in during her free time. Moreover, they were the few dramas that she had watched before. From time to time, Lin Ruoxi would prick up her ears to listen to what they were talking about. There were a few times when she heard that she felt that the drama shouldn't be like that. She couldn't help but want to argue with them. Finally, when Hui Lin and Anshin were arguing about a plot problem, they were in a stalemate. Hui Lin said to Lin Ruoxi, "Sister, you've also watched that drama. Why don't you judge whether the second female lead is more suitable for the male lead?" Lin Ruoxi blushed. It had always been her little secret that she liked to watch Korean dramas. She felt a little uncomfortable when Anshin found out about it. However, Lin Ruoxi finally found an opportunity to join their discussion. It was as if she had found an outlet to vent. She said all the things that she had wanted to say for a long time. The more she spoke, the more energetic she became. It didn't take long for the three women to start a heated discussion. It was like a fan club. Lin Ruashi had completely lost her usual seriousness and coldness. She was like a little girl full of romantic feelings. It had to be said that this was in line with her actual age. A smile spread across Yang Cheng's lips. Anshin, that little vixen, must have found out about Lin Ruashi's hobbies from Hui Lin in advance. She then prepared what she wanted to say in front of Lin Ruashi. He had never heard Anshin and Hui Lin talk about Korean dramas before. Anshin didn't watch soap operas at all. It was obvious that she was preparing to get closer to Lin Ruashi. When the car arrived at the hot spring resort owned by Yulei, the three women finally got out of the car and pulled their suitcases into the resort's residential building. While Lin Ruashi was talking to the hotel manager, Anshin leaned in front of Yang Cheng and said, "Hubby, your wife is even younger than Hui Lin. I swear on my woman's intuition." Yang Cheng touched his nose and looked at Lin Ruashi, who had returned to her work state. She was serious and cold. He said softly, "It's not that bad. She's only passionate about watching Korean dramas." Didn't you notice that whenever Sister Ruashi talked about the plot of Korean dramas, her eyes would almost burst into flames? Anshin said exaggeratedly. Yang Cheng asked with a weird smile, "Why are you calling her sister again? Isn't she sister?" "Umph," Anshin said disdainfully in a low voice. "That's just to fool the little girl. With her mental age, she's only fit to be a sister. I reckon that she's even younger than some female high school students. She's practically a little girl." At this moment, Lin Ruashi finished discussing some minor issues with the manager. She turned to the three of them and said, "Go and put your luggage down. Don't just stand there." "Okay, Sister Ruashi." Anshin immediately put on a sweet smile and followed her obediently. Chapter 422. Yang Cheng was already used to Anshin's slyness. From the first time they met, he had been fooled by her. Other than business matters, Lin Ruashi was indeed inexperienced in other aspects. She was very naive when it came to the ways of the world. She had been secretly bullied by Anshin, who had been running around the world for many years. She could only admit defeat. Moreover, Anshin did not dare to think that she could make a name for herself. She was just secretly snitching on Lin Ruashi to Yang Cheng, and Yang Cheng just let her be. After entering the hotel lobby, Lin Ruashi took 2 room cards from the lobby manager. It seemed that they had booked the rooms before they arrived. Lin Ruashi passed one of the room cards to Anshin. Because they had talked a lot in the car, she was much gentler. "You and Hui Lin will share a room, and I'll share a room with Yang Cheng." Not only Yang Cheng, but even Hui Lin was stunned. Lin Ruashi took the initiative to say that she wanted to share a room with Yang Cheng. Anshin seemed to have noticed that the atmosphere was not right. A trace of doubt flashed in her eyes, but she did not ask anything. She just smiled and took the card. Yang Cheng put on a shy face and moved closer to Lin Ruashi. He chuckled and said, "Honey, are we really going to share a room?" "Why? You don't want to? Or do you want to share a room with someone else?" Lin Ruashi asked without hesitation. Her eyes were cold. Anshin was a little embarrassed. Even if she knew that they were in that kind of relationship, she could not say it so obviously. She was indeed a little sister. She was so stiff in dealing with emotional problems. If Yang Cheng answered yes and no, he would offend his woman, so he simply laughed it off. Hui Lin didn't mind. She had thought that she was going to sleep with Lin Ruashi. Now that she was sleeping with Anshin, they were still good sisters. However, she was worried about Lin Ruashi. She was worried that something would happen if Lin Ruashi and Yang Cheng slept in the same room. When the 4 of them arrived at the top floor of the hotel, Yang Cheng noticed that these 2 rooms were VIP suites. They could sleep 4 people in them without being crowded. It was no wonder that Lin Ruashi would decisively sleep in the same room. Even if they slept in the same room, the 2 of them would be far apart. Lin Ruashi saw a flash of disappointment on Yang Cheng's face, and she felt a little proud in her heart. "Go into the room and rest for a while. We'll have lunch later," Lin Ruashi said, and walked into the suite first. The decor in the room was very simple and warm, with large patches of warm colors in white and a faint rose fragrance wafting in the air. There were exquisite wooden tables and chairs, a 43-inch wall-mounted TV, and a laptop on the desk. The room was mainly divided into a living room and a bedroom. There was a soft leather sofa in the living room and a fluffy wool carpet. There were 2 single beds in the bedroom. Yang Chung chose a bed near the window and laid down on his back, moaning comfortably. Lin Ruoshi frowned, and a trace of red flashed across her fair face. In fact, the main reason she did this was because she didn't want Yang Chung to have a chance to secretly have fun with Anshin. Otherwise, she wouldn't dare to stay in the same room with Yang Chung. But now, Lin Ruoshi realized that she didn't know how to get along with Yang Chung in the same room. It had been more than half a year since they got married, and to be honest, the two of them didn't have many chances to be in the same room, let alone in the same bedroom. Babe Ruoshi, don't just stand there. It's tiring to ride in the car. Come and lie beside me for a while. It's very comfortable. Yang Chung tilted his head and smiled at Lin Ruoshi, who was standing by the corridor. I'm not tired. Lin Ruoshi rejected stiffly. Hey, what are you shy about? I'm your husband, not your tiger. If you don't want to be with me, I haven't forced you. Are you afraid that I'll force myself on you? Didn't you think so before? Lin Ruoshi mocked with a smile that wasn't a smile. Yang Chung made no sound. That night, he did sneak into Lin Ruoshi's room to do that. Now that he thought about it, he regretted it. This matter had become evidence of his attempted crime. Don't keep holding on to your husband's past mistakes. You should know that our mom is still waiting for us to give birth to a baby. If you're so shy, I'll be too embarrassed to sow seeds. Yang Chung took advantage of the fact that there were only 2 people in the room, so he didn't hide anything. Lin Ruoshi blushed. But wants you to broadcast. Broadcast that. How can you speak so vulgarly? I'm not a cultured person to begin with. I didn't even go to primary school. Go to work is like hanging me. Now that I can finally come out and have some fun, you still want me to talk like a bureaucrat in the company? Yang Chun bounced his calves proudly. Chuckling, he said, let me tell you, back when I was selling mutton skewers in the market, the words I said were much more straightforward than now. You haven't heard of the more vulgar ones. Do you want me to tell you? You can tell it to yourself. Lin Ruoshi glared at him, turned around, and went into the washroom, slamming the door. Not long after, Anshin and Hui Lin came knocking on the door. Yang Chung went to open the door, only to see Hui Lin in white sportswear with her hair tied up in a ponytail. Her pure and lovely face was full of spirit. Anshin, on the other hand, had changed into a light yellow Korean-style fleece hoodie and a pair of light-colored skinny jeans, outlining her round and seductive legs and curvy buttocks. Her oval face was slightly powdered, and she secretly winked at Yang Chung. Yang Chung was lamenting the huge difference between his sister-in-law and lover when Lin Ruoshi, who had returned to normal, walked out of the washroom. Sister, let's go downstairs. I saw the map of this resort just now, and there's a lake inside. It looks beautiful. I want to take a look. Hui Lin hadn't been to many places, and it was rare for her to go out and play. She came here to let Hui Lin relax, so Lin Ruoshi naturally wouldn't reject her. She smiled and said, all right, I'll get someone to bring some ingredients over. We can barbecue by the lake, so let's have lunch by the lake later. Barbecue? Yang Chung patted his chest. Who else can do this? Didn't you see the expert here? Lin Ruoshi frowned. She almost forgot that her husband was a barbecue expert. Brother Yang, do you know how to do it? Sure, that sounds interesting. Hui Lin's eyes were full of stars, and she immediately approved the proposal. The barbecue equipment would naturally be prepared by the resort staff. Lin Ruoshi rejected the resort manager's proposal to send the 4 of them in a golf cart and decided to have fun on foot. In fact, as the CEO, it was rare for Lin Ruoshi to have fun here. Many people in the resort tried their best to please her, but it was a pity that Lin Ruoshi was born with an unapproachable look, which made it difficult for them to do anything. It was the chilly season of spring, and there were still many tourists in the hot spring resort. Yang Chung attracted a lot of attention as he walked along the road with 3 beautiful women. The man-made lake that Hui Lin wanted to see was at the deepest part of the resort. It could be considered a small reservoir built on high ground, and they had to walk a long way to reach it. Along the way, the withered leaves flew in the air from time to time. The pine and cypress trees were green, and the parasol and camphor trees were bare. The scenery was a little strange, but the fresh air made the four of them slow down unconsciously. From time to time, Anshin and Hui Lin discussed something in a low voice, which made Lin Ruashi, who was walking in front, look unhappy. After all, Hui Lin was her sister, and she felt isolated. Yang Chung chuckled and moved closer to Lin Ruashi's ear, saying, "Little Ruashi, if you feel lonely, do you want me to hold your hand and walk with you?" Lin Ruashi turned her head away, pretending that she heard nothing. By the time they arrived at the man-made lake, it was already noon. The sparkling lake reflected the warm sunlight, and the wind was cold and wet. Lin Ruashi and Anshin couldn't help but shiver. Because Hui Lin practiced internal energy, she didn't feel cold, but she was attracted by the vast lake in front of her, showing a cute and intoxicated look. Anshin walked slowly to Yang Cheng's back and said softly, "Hubby, I'm hungry. Let's go barbecue." "I think you're just greedy," Yang Cheng said as he grabbed Anshin's perky butt. Anshin's beautiful eyes were about to burst into tears. One must know that Lin Ruashi was standing less than a meter away, and Yang Cheng touched her, but which made Anshin feel very excited. "You're so naughty. You only know how to bully me. If you're so capable, go and touch Sister Ruashi." Anshin's pink tongue touched her lips. Yang Cheng took a deep breath and suppressed the fire in his heart. He glanced at Lin Ruashi, who didn't seem to notice anything, coughed, and said, "Let's go and have lunch. It's quite cold here. It's not good to catch a cold." Yang Cheng was worried that if this went on, he would be impulsive and touch Lin Ruashi together. Because the barbecue location wasn't far from the lake, Hui Lin, who was obsessed with the scenery of the lake, didn't object. She happily followed them to the resting area for the barbecue. The staff had already prepared a large number of barbecue utensils: beef, mutton, sausages, and other rich ingredients. Yang Cheng only needed to light the charcoal and start the barbecue. After walking for such a long time, the three women were actually a little hungry. Without saying anything, Yang Cheng took off his coat and lit the charcoal. After heating it up skillfully, he covered the barbecue wire on top of the charcoal. The coldness around the charcoal stove was dispelled, and the edge of the stove where Yang Cheng was standing was even hotter. Soon, Yang Cheng's forehead was covered with sweat. Yang Cheng didn't think too much about it. He realized that he was about to sweat, so he took off his sweater and underwear and went topless. This time, the three women were stunned. Anshin was fine. She was more open-minded, and she found it interesting that Yang Cheng was so engrossed in the barbecue, so she giggled. Hui Lin's face turned red, and she didn't dare to look at Yang Cheng's strong upper body. Lin Ruashi couldn't stand it. There were a lot of tourists walking by the roadside, and this was a public place. Who would be topless? According to the laws and regulations, it was illegal to be topless in public. "Put on your clothes. What are you doing?" Lin Ruashi said unhappily. Yang Cheng smiled and explained, "I'm not joking. I'm wearing so many clothes. If I sweat, my clothes will be wet, and when the cold wind blows, it will be very uncomfortable." "That won't do. Look at the people walking by. They are all looking at you. How embarrassing." Lin Ruashi felt embarrassed for Yang Cheng. "Who cares about them? No one knows me." Yang Cheng curled his lips and said with a smile, "Don't you think your husband is very manly?" As he said that, Yang Cheng pretended to bulge his muscles. Anshin giggled and clapped. "Oh no, Director Yang, you're the best." Lin Ruashi glared at Anshin, who was next to her, and cursed silently, "Damn vixen," then looked at the cheeky Yang Cheng and closed her eyes in pain. What kind of person did I marry? Chapter 423. During the barbecue lunch, Yang Cheng, Anshin, and Hui Lin enjoyed the food. Yang Cheng felt that he was more suitable to do his old job. It was much more presentable than when he was in the office. Yang Cheng even thought of asking Lin Ruashi to abandon Yulei International one day and follow him to the market to sell mutton skewers. At most, he could just rent a shop to sell them. However, such a beautiful dream would probably never come true in this lifetime. Lin Ruashi, on the other hand, felt like chewing wax. She recalled a novel she had read. The female lead was a female doctor who married a military officer. Due to the huge cultural difference between the two, the female doctor always felt that her husband was vulgar, but she really couldn't bear to part with this man. Until the end of the novel, the female doctor didn't divorce her husband. However, she couldn't figure out why she could tolerate this vulgar military officer husband. At that time, Lin Ruashi felt that the female doctor was contradictory. How could she not divorce her husband, even though he was vulgar? Now, she finally understood that even she couldn't figure out the matters between men and women. Looking at the man sitting on the wooden chair beside her, his upper body bare, as if he was doing farm work. He finished the greasy sausage in big mouthfuls and didn't even bother to take a tissue. He directly wiped his mouth with his arm. The grease was all over his hands and mouth. Lin Ruashi couldn't help but sigh faintly. She took a stack of tissue from the side and passed it to Yang Chung. "Don't use your hands. It's so dirty." Yang Chung grinned. "I'm used to it." At that time, I didn't even have a bowl to eat with, let alone a tissue. I just wiped my mouth subconsciously. Yang Chung took the tissue and wiped his mouth. Although Lin Ruashi was curious about Yang Cheng's past life, she only vaguely knew about it. However, she didn't want to ask Yang Chung. She felt that if it was something she should know, Yang Chung would tell her. After all, this guy usually talked a lot. The reason why he didn't say it was probably because he felt that there was no need for him to know. Lin Ruashi suddenly nodded with a gentle smile on her face. There was a hint of enchanting charm on her beautiful features, but she was holding a half-eaten roasted chicken wing in her hand, which made her look a little strange to others. Unfortunately, no one else noticed. After lunch, some waiters who had been waiting for a long time came out of nowhere and helped clean up all the garbage. Lin Ruashi frowned and said to a waiter, "Tell your manager not to send people to follow us. It's like watching us. It's uncomfortable." The waiter kept quiet out of fear and hurriedly lowered his head and bowed. Boss, please forgive us. We really aren't spying on you. We just want to serve you. It's rare for you to come over." Lin Ruashi waved her hand and told them to leave quickly. In front of her subordinates, she could always show some dignity. "Sister Ruashi is so impressive," Anshin whispered. Yang Chung looked at her teasingly. "Do you think so too?" "Of course," Anshin said seriously, but the smile in her eyes betrayed her true feelings. After eating, Yang Chung put on his coat. Actually, he quite enjoyed the feeling of blowing in the cold wind with his upper body bare. This was something he often did when he was on a mission in Siberia. At that time, his entire body would be covered with black and messy lines to hide in the Black Forest. Firstly, he could avoid some ferocious beasts, and secondly, he could hide and wait for a chance to kill in one strike. Those times, when he thought about it now, still felt like yesterday. But at this moment, he was a beautiful wife and a beautiful concubine, working as a white-collar worker in the city. Yang Chung didn't feel that this kind of life was monotonous. Instead, it made his heart even more satisfied. Of course, if his wife could be more cooperative and get along with his lovers, that would be the best. The four of them strolled along the lake. The rustling wind blew through their hair, bringing with it the smell of soil and withered leaves. The smile on Hui Lin's face never faded. She told Anshin and Lin Ruashi about some of her experiences on Mount Amei. The three women were like a drama, chattering endlessly. At this moment, it seemed that bringing Hui Lin out to relax was the right decision. Not far away, there was a small resting area, mainly for the tourists of the resort to rest. The small shop sold steaming hot tea, eggs, dried tofu, and some drinks. However, at this time, most of the people were still having their lunch. The resting area was empty except for an old man in a cotton vest who was looking after the shop. Outside the shop, there was a small game point that attracted the attention of the three women. It was a stair platform filled with cartoon plush toys. The customer would throw a small plastic ball to knock the plush toy off the platform, and the plush toy would belong to the customer. This kind of game could be seen in many amusement parks. However, Lin Ruashi, Hui Lin, and Anshin had never seen it before, so they were immediately interested. Most importantly, on the highest spot on the platform, there was a big white plush polar bear plushie. The animal was round and very eye-catching. Anshin was fine, but Lin Ruashi and Hui Lin were a pair of sisters who still had childlike hearts, especially Lin Ruashi. Back then, she kept staring at the doll in the dumpling shop, which led to the follow-up of Yang Cheng's challenge of 88 dumplings. Now that she saw the big teddy bear, Sister Lin's eyes lit up again. Yang Cheng knew that Lin Ruashi was too embarrassed to ask to play, so he put on an act and said, "That game looks quite interesting. Since we're just going to walk around, why don't we go and play?" A trace of joy flashed through Lin Ruashi's eyes, but she still said expressionlessly, "I'm fine with anything." "Hui Lin, do you want to play?" Hui Lin nodded vigorously, so the four of them walked in front of the old man. Yang Cheng asked, "Old man, how much does this game cost?" The old man pointed to an inconspicuous, small wooden board at the side. On it was written in cinnabar with a brush, $5 for 2 times, $10 for 5 times. "Then let's buy it for $30 first. It's just 5 balls for each of you." Yang Cheng took out a $50 note from his pocket. He only had some small change with him, so he didn't have any big change. The old man seemed to be a little cold, his hands trembling as he took the money. After giving the change to Yang Cheng for $20, he took 3 small plastic baskets and distributed them to Lin Ruashi and the other 2 girls. "Young ladies, stand outside the table and hit it. It's up to your luck whether you can hit it or not. I suggest you hit the small ones. The big ones might look good, but even if you hit it, you might not be able to hit it off the table," the old man kindly advised. The plastic balls were hollow, so when they were thrown, most of the force would be used up. Moreover, they were light, so when the wind blew, they would lose their aim. Therefore, it was very difficult to hit something even though the distance seemed short. Hui Lin stood behind the table first. She knew martial arts. Although she wasn't good at throwing hidden weapons, her accuracy and strength were definitely not bad. The first ball was thrown, and a teddy bear in the middle was smashed to the ground. The old man clapped his hands in surprise. "Young lady, your aim is not bad." Hui Lin smiled sweetly. After the old man passed the teddy bear to her, she continued to hit 3 more balls, but she didn't hit anything. Finally, on the 5th ball, Hui Lin hit a white pony. The old man picked up the pony and gave it to Hui Lin. Yang Cheng could tell that Hui Lin was going easy on them. He secretly asked Hui Lin softly, "Why don't you hit the big polar bear? If you use a little bit of your inner strength, the bear will be smashed down." Hui Lin felt Yang Cheng's hot breath on her ear. She blushed shyly and looked at Lin Ruashi cautiously. Seeing that Lin Ruashi wasn't paying attention, she said, "Leave the big bear to sister. She seems to like it more than me. Besides, it's not easy for you to do business in such a cold weather. I'm already cheating by knowing martial arts. I can't bully you, sir." Yang Cheng had an as-expected expression on his face. He caressed Hui Lin's ponytail. "You're so soft-hearted." Although Yang Cheng only caressed it casually, Hui Lin's heart was racing. In Hui Lin's eyes, caressing her hair was a very intimate action. However, Yang Cheng didn't pay much attention to it. His gaze was on Anshin, who was the second to throw the ball. Anshin didn't have Hui Lin's accuracy and strength. After throwing 5 balls, she still didn't hit a single doll. She couldn't help but pout and said to the sir, "Sir, I want another 5 balls." She took out her wallet and took out a 10 yuan note. The sir was, of course, happy. He took the money and gave another 5 balls to Anshin. Anshin wasn't disappointed this time. When she threw the 4th ball, she hit the smallest doll. She was happy and didn't plan to continue. "Sister Ruashi, you can do it." Anshin retreated and didn't forget to cheer for Lin Ruashi. Lin Ruashi responded casually. She didn't have time to care about Anshin. She took a deep breath and seemed to be a little nervous. She walked behind the table with a plastic frame and stared at the polar bear doll with her big, watery eyes. "Sister, you're so serious." Hui Lin couldn't help but say. Anshin walked over and whispered, "You don't look like you're going to hit the polar bear doll. You look like you're going to hunt the polar bear." The more I look at her, the more girly she becomes. At this time, Lin Ruashi finally brewed her fighting spirit. She took out a plastic ball and threw it at the polar bear doll. Swoosh! The ball was thrown with enough force, but it flew off course. Lin Ruashi's face immediately turned red like a ripe apple. Obviously, It was embarrassing for her to miss in front of her love rival, her husband, and her sister. Lin Ruashi chose not to look at the expressions of the people around her. She picked up the ball and threw it at the polar bear doll. Unfortunately, Lin Ruashi threw all 5 balls, but they still couldn't touch the polar bear, let alone hit the table. Without saying a word, Lin Ruashi took out a $50 bill from her wallet and gave it to the old man. "I want 25 balls." The old man was overjoyed. He immediately gave her 25 balls and stuffed the $50 bill into his vest pocket. Lin Ruashi took the basket full of balls and continued to throw them at the polar bear. However, no matter how Lin Ruashi controlled the ball, it flew to the left or right, but it didn't hit the polar bear. Even the other small dolls didn't get hit. After throwing 25 balls, Lin Ruashi's face was no longer red, but rather a little pale. However, her gaze had become murderous, and it was frightening to look at. "Sir," Lin Ruashi called out. Her voice was enough to freeze people. Even though the weather was very cold, the old man still felt the temperature drop by more than 10 degrees. Little girl, do you still want more?" The old man was actually a little stunned. He had never seen such an unlucky customer. After throwing 30 balls, she couldn't even hit the smallest doll. Lin Ruashi took out a $100 bill from her wallet and said, "Give me 50 balls." The old man didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Little girl, you're making me feel embarrassed. You keep the money. Why don't I give you a little doll? Don't be angry. Just take it as bad luck." "No." Lin Ruashi's voice suddenly became stern and her face was frosty. She stared at the old man until his heart was in his throat. "I don't believe that I can't even hit a little doll. Why can they hit it, but I can't? Sir, don't talk to me about giving it to you. I don't want it. I want to hit it myself." Lin Ruashi pointed to Hui Lin not far away and said to Anshin. Hui Lin and Anshin looked at each other, both a little puzzled. Yang Chun, on the other hand, couldn't help but smile bitterly. He had long known about Lin Ruashi's strong personality. Otherwise, she wouldn't have worked so hard to prove to the world that she could manage Ulay International. But now, Yang Chung found that he had underestimated Lin Ruashi's strong side. This girl's competitive spirit could be considered to have reached this strange level. Even fighting a little doll could be raised to such a level of seriousness. Thinking about it, Lin Ruashi regarded Anshin as an imaginary enemy. She didn't want to lose to Anshin in any way. Moreover, she didn't want to admit defeat. If she couldn't hit the polar bear she liked, she wouldn't give up easily. The poor old man was shocked. This little girl's eyes didn't look like she was going to hit a toy. She looked like she was going to kill someone. However, since she insisted on giving him money, the old man couldn't say much. He gave Lin Ruashi 2 big baskets of 50 balls. The old man shook his head with a bitter smile. Lin Ruashi took the 2 baskets of balls and placed them in front of her. She continued to shoot at the polar bear. She was almost like a machine gun, constantly throwing colorful plastic balls. Unfortunately, no matter how hard Lin Ruashi aimed, the ball wouldn't hit the doll. "I say, little girl, don't keep staring at the big bear. It looks the biggest and easiest to hit, but it's actually the furthest away. Why don't you hit the small ones? Those that are closer are easier to hit," the old man advised. He couldn't bear to see such a beautiful little girl being bullied. Lin Ruashi bit her lip. Her eyes were firm and determined. "No, I must hit that big bear." At this time, Lin Ruashi had finished shooting 50 balls, so she took out 200 yuan from her wallet and said to the old man, "Sir, I want 100 balls." The old man was helpless, but he had no choice but to send another 100 balls over. How could it be so easy to throw all 100 balls? Lin Ruashi threw about a dozen of them, took a break, and continued throwing again. Half an hour passed just like that. Hui Lin and Anshin were about to cry. They felt that it was unbelievable. Even if she threw with her eyes closed, she should at least hit 1 out of 100 balls, right? When Lin Ruashi finished throwing again and took out 400 yuan from her wallet, asking for 200 balls, the old man's face turned pale. "Little girl, I'm begging you. I'll give you the big bear and the other small toys. The toys there aren't even worth 400 yuan. The old man spoke from the bottom of his heart. He was already frightened by Lin Ruashi. How could there be such a scary customer in this world? "Ruashi, Do you want me to help you? Just treat it as a gift from your husband. Yang Chung stepped forward, trying to persuade Lin Ruoshi. If this went on, it would be dark soon. Lin Ruoshi looked at Yang Chung coldly. Why? You think I can't do it too? If Anshin can hit it, why can't I? I won't lose. Yang Chung touched his face, suddenly speechless. He could not say, Actually, you have already lost. This time, Lin Ruoshi snatched almost 200 balls from the old man. They were like a small hill, and the 200 balls filled the small table. Lin Ruoshi loosened her arms and continued to throw the ball down like rain. However, life was unpredictable. It was just like there were people who could survive in a hail of bullets. After throwing 400 to 500 plastic balls, Lin Ruoshi still hadn't hit a single doll. At this time of the year, the day was not long. By the time Lin Ruoshi finished shooting the 200 balls, the sun had slowly set. Lin Ruoshi's face was already gloomy. Her beautiful face was a little frightening, especially her dark eyes, which seemed to be able to spit out flames that could burn people to death. The old man had his back hunched, and no one knew when he had sneaked into the shop. He was not willing to accept any more money, and only hoped that this little lady would leave as soon as possible. Seeing that Hui Lin and Anshin were already in a daze, Yang Chung knew that he could not go on like this. He stepped forward and pulled Lin Ruoshi's arm. Let's go. Stop playing. Who would be angry when they come out to relax and play a game? Although Lin Ruoshi was very unwilling, she also knew that she had gone too far. She looked at the big polar bear for a while, then nodded and said, Wait for me. Then, under Yang Chang's surprised gaze, Lin Ruoshi walked to the door of the shop, put a 10 yuan bill on the table, and said to the old man who did not dare to look at her, Sir, I'll use this 10 yuan to buy 10 of your plastic balls. The old man thought that he had heard wrongly. With a sad face, he said, Little girl, you still want to smash them? I'm old, and it's easy for me to have a heart attack. No, I'm buying the balls. I'll go back and practice. I'll come again when I'm done. Lin Ruoshi said seriously, Sir Bear, please keep them for me. I must get them. This time, not only the old man, but also Yang Chung, Hui Lin, and Anshin were stunned. Anshin drew a cross in front of her chest and whispered behind Yang Chung, Honey, I'll be a good girl in the future. I don't want to fight with such a crazy woman for a man. She can really scare people to death by smashing a teddy bear. If I fight with her for a husband, I'll probably be killed by her before I even start. Yang Chung reprimanded her discontentedly. What do you mean by crazy woman? Don't talk nonsense. Anshin stuck out her tongue and pouted. Obviously, she did not think that she had said anything wrong. She stole a glance at Lin Ruoshi, who was meticulously holding the plastic balls. For the first time, there was a trace of sincere fear in her eyes. Chapter 424. Back at the hotel, the person in charge of the resort had already prepared a sumptuous dinner. They finally had a proper meal, and Yang Chung didn't have the chance to show off his culinary skills. Anshin toasted Lin Ruoshi with fruit juice from time to time. This girl was really frightened by Lin Ruoshi's competitiveness. Lin Ruoshi was still absent-minded. She seemed to be thinking about why she couldn't hit the doll. She accidentally peeled off the prawns while peeling them, which made Hui Lin, who had always been thrifty, feel sorry for her. Yang Chung nibbled on a piece of Japanese-style grilled eel. He looked at Lin Ruoshi, who looked a little silly, and said with a smile, Honey, tell me the truth. When you were in school, other than music, you always failed PE too, right? You're really bad at sports. What has that got to do with PE? Lin Ruoshi blushed. Actually, she always failed PE in school, but she would never say it in front of Anshin and Hui Lin. Anshin blinked and asked curiously, Sister Ruoshi, why did you fail your music class? Lin Ruoshi remained silent, pretending that she didn't hear anything. Yang Chung explained, because she couldn't be bothered to go to class, and she couldn't be bothered to take exams. Oh, although Anshin still didn't believe it, she didn't probe further. After the meal, the four of them didn't plan to continue playing. Lin Ruoshi silently returned to her room. When she went up, she was holding a small plastic basket filled with food and plastic balls. It was obvious what she was going to do, even if she thought with her toes. Hui Lin, Your sister is so scary, Anshin said softly, shivering. Hui Lin's delicate face revealed a trace of helplessness. She pouted and said, Sister isn't usually like that. Maybe it's because you're here today. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have been able to hit the doll. At least she wouldn't have to hit it before she would give up. Anshin pouted. Yang Chung went up and pinched Anshin's cheeks. Don't think too much. Go and rest early with Hui Lin. We'll go back to Zhonghai City tomorrow. After sending the two girls back to their rooms, Yang Chung returned to his and Lin Ruoshi's room. As soon as he entered the room, he saw Lin Ruoshi in a pair of cotton slippers. She had taken off her jacket and was only wearing a thin pink sweater. She was holding a few plastic balls and throwing them at the small leather bag on the bed. Seeing Yang Chung enter the door, Lin Ruoshi was slightly startled. She pursed her lips and immediately put the plastic ball back into the basket. Then, she combed her hair and pretended that nothing had happened. Obviously, Lin Ruoshi also knew that doing this kind of exercise alone in the room was a bit strange. I'm going to take a shower, Lin Ruoshi said. Then, she picked up the clothes that she had prepared and rushed into the bathroom. Yang Chung didn't laugh at her. He sat on the sofa and watched TV for a while. After waiting for more than half an hour, Lin Ruoshi came out of the shower and asked, Do you need me to sleep on the sofa tonight? Lin Ruoshi was wiping her wet hair with a dry towel. Her pink cheeks looked so tender that juice could drip out. When she heard Yang Cheng's question, she asked curiously, Why do you ask? I thought you were afraid that I would do something bad, so you wouldn't let me sleep on the bed with you. Yang Chung said with a smile. Lin Ruoshi suddenly felt an inexplicable sense of loss and bitterness. They were clearly husband and wife. As her husband, he actually thought that she could ask him to sleep on the sofa. Moreover, there were obviously two beds. Had she been too cruel to him on a daily basis? She always blamed him for being a playboy and looking for other women. Perhaps, to a large extent, the reason was that she refused to give it to him. Lin Ruoshi walked gracefully to Yang Cheng's side and sat down on the sofa. Under the pale white light, she looked like a white lotus that had seductively raised its head from clear water, dazzling Yang Chung. Why don't we try it tonight? Lin Ruoshi bit her thin lips and suddenly said with a firm look in her eyes. Yang Chung didn't understand what she meant. Try what? Lin Ruoshi tried hard not to lower her head and make her voice not lower. Her blush spread to her pink neck. It's that kind of thing between husband and wife. Yang Chung suddenly understood, followed by a burst of disbelief. He frowned and looked at Lin Ruoshi's struggling face. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Babe Ruoshi, I'm just asking if I could sleep on the bed. I didn't mean it that way. You don't have to force yourself to do it. It's normal for mom to want a grandson. She doesn't have to give birth to one immediately. I'll help you talk to her. No. Lin Ruoshi shook her head. I want to try it myself. Although I'm a little scared, I don't want to lose to others. Yang Chung almost fell to the ground. This girl even wanted to compare herself to other women in this kind of thing? Could it be that he was stimulated today, so he wanted to make a comeback in another place, and even wanted to try out the intimate activities that he had always had? What are you thinking? Lin Ruoshi said with dissatisfaction. I'm a woman, and I'm not afraid. Aren't you usually very open? Why are you hesitating? Yang Chung slapped his thigh. What do I have to hesitate about? As long as you're willing. I can fuck my own wife with a clear conscience. You, don't always speak so vulgarly. What do you mean? What do you mean? Lin Ruoshi's cheeks were flushed red as she complained angrily. Even though she knew that this man was vulgar from the first day they met, she still couldn't help but try to change him. Yang Chung laughed. I already told you, I'm not a cultured person. Just bear with me when you're my wife's baby. How about we start now? Aren't you going to take a bath? Lin Ruoshi became nervous, but she didn't forget to clean up and asked in a low voice. If you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten. There's still the smell of sheep on my body. I'll be right back. Obediently go to bed and wait. Yang Cheng's mind also became warm. He never thought that Lin Ruoshi would take the initiative to ask to share a room tonight. He thought that he would have to wait for another half a year or something. Happiness came very suddenly. With motivation, The speed of the bath was naturally needless to say. In less than 5 minutes, Yang Chung, who had just taken a bath, rushed out of the bathroom half wet. He only had a pair of briefs on his lower body. He was afraid that it would be too stimulating, so he put it on. Seeing that Lin Ruoshi had just carefully climbed onto the bed, wearing only a moon-white silk nightgown, her snow-white skin was faintly discernible, her curves were charming, and her round buttocks outlined a beautiful outline. This made Yang Cheng's lower body immediately have a physical reaction. Smacking his lips, Yang Chung admired the action of Lin Ruoshi climbing onto the bed, and the fire in his heart was burning. Lin Ruoshi turned around and noticed that Yang Chung was staring at her passionately. She couldn't help but shrink her body, but thinking that she was the one who took the initiative to try it, she gritted her teeth and stretched her graceful body, lying on the white bedsheet, and at the same time closed her shining eyes. Yang Chung took a deep breath. From his point of view, even though Lin Ruoshi's chest was lying flat, it was still towering like a snow peak. The proud mountain stream, the white neck, and the scattered black hair were dazzling and intoxicating. Slowly, Yang Chung climbed onto the bed, and his eyes looked from Lin Ruoshi's jade-like ankles all the way up to her flat belly. The purple lace pattern could be seen through the moon-white nightgown, and it was actually a high-end sexy panty. A pair of perfectly round and snow-white thighs squeezed the seductive ravine especially conspicuous, making Yang Chung immediately have the impulse to pry it open and find out what was going on. Lin Ruoshi's figure was taller than Xiang Wei and Mo Qianni, which was enough to be a model. Her degree of fullness was not inferior to the other women that Yang Chung had had. Rather than fullness, it was more accurate to say that it was a perfect proportion. Yang Chung couldn't help but admire his endurance. He actually didn't force himself on such a superb beauty, but when he thought that this woman's first time was taken by him, he was filled with a sense of pride. Yang Chung slowly pressed on top of Lin Ruoshi, and the wing of his nose moved close to Lin Ruoshi's neck. He took a whiff of the enchanting jasmine body fragrance. Just this alone made Lin Ruoshi, who was nervous to the point of breaking down, couldn't help but let out a moan, and her body trembled. Lin Ruoshi shamefully felt that she actually became wet down there so quickly. It was because she was too nervous, and she was extremely sensitive, so when Yang Chung teased her a little, she couldn't bear it. "Don't be nervous. Relax. It's not our first time. You'll enjoy it," Yang Chung said in a wide voice next to Lin Ruoshi's ear, and one of his left hands gradually stroked Lin Ruoshi's exquisite ball. The smooth feeling filled his entire hand, making Yang Chung feel so comfortable that he couldn't help but pinch a little harder. Oh, Lin Ruoshi's face was like red jade, and she opened a pair of beautiful watery eyes, as if her whole body was about to turn into a pool of spring water and melt in Yang Cheng's hands. Yang Chung saw that Lin Ruoshi's eyes seemed to be holding back tears, and thought that she was feeling wronged, so he couldn't bear it and said, "How about, forget it? I don't think you're ready." To be honest, when such words came out of his mouth, Yang Chung had to admire his endurance. Lin Ruoshi shook her head. "I can do it. You continue." Yang Chung didn't say anything more, and kissed her deeply, exploring and teasing Lin Ruoshi's clumsy tongue, trying to use kissing to dissolve the nervousness and embarrassment of an inexperienced little wife. At the same time, his other free hand moved to the gap between Lin Ruoshi's white, jade-like legs. With a slight touch of Lin Ruoshi's purple lace panties, Yang Chung felt that the moisture had spread to an outrageous extent. Lin Ruoshi's sensitivity was far beyond Yang Cheng's imagination. However, such a situation was obviously something that men were happy to see. Yang Chung didn't hesitate to explore Lin Ruoshi's nightdress and began to lift up, gradually exposing the area below her lower abdomen to the air. He reluctantly separated from Lin Ruoshi's kiss, and the woman was already a little dazed. Her cherry lips were half open, and her pink tongue was slightly exposed. A sparkling silk chain was pulled from between their lips. Yang Chung took a deep breath, and his mouth and nose were filled with the rich fragrance of Lin Ruoshi due to her passion. One hand finally grabbed the side of Lin Ruoshi's lace panties, and slowly took off the most mysterious layer of restraint, revealing the paradise that had been in his dreams for too long. Lin Ruoshi closed her eyes with a complicated expression. Her heart was already beating to the limit, and the most private part of her face gradually felt the moist and cold air. Lin Ruoshi couldn't help but tremble, and her white skin was suffused with a tempting pink. She could even feel the delicate stream below. The mountain spring was gurgling out. Chapter 425. Just as Yang Cheng's breathing became heavier and heavier, and he was about to turn into a berserk beast, an ear-piercing whistle suddenly resounded through the entire resort hotel building. Honk, honk, honk! The sound seemed to pierce through one's eardrum, but it immediately told Yang Cheng and Lin Ruoshi, who were lying on the bed. Fire alarm? Yang Cheng almost instinctively jumped out of bed, put on his coat, and threw Lin Ruoshi's coat and pants on the bed, so that Lin Ruoshi, who was still in a daze, could put them on as soon as possible. The sudden contrast made Lin Ruoshi forget what she should do. Fortunately, Yang Cheng was calm in the face of danger and pulled her back to reality. However, the fire alarm came at the wrong time. Yang Cheng smiled bitterly in his heart. What the hell is going on? I waited for half a year and can finally consummate with my wife. But where did the fire come from? If it wasn't for the fact that he knew it was impossible, he would have suspected that it was Anshin's malice. Attention, guests, attention! The hotel's heating equipment suddenly short-circuited several times, causing some areas to catch fire. Please pay attention to your safety and evacuate from the safety passage as soon as possible. Lin Ruoshi also happened to be muddle-headed as she hastily put on her coat. Her face was still flushed, but her eyes were clear. She didn't know why, but when the fire alarm suddenly rang, she wasn't as nervous as she was when she was about to be conquered by Yang Cheng. Involuntarily, Lin Ruoshi touched her chest and exhaled. This small movement was seen by Yang Cheng from the corner of his eyes, and he could not help but smile helplessly. It seemed that she was still not ready, and it was just a moment of impulse. Come to think of it, which woman would want to give herself to a husband who flirted with women all day long? After changing into sports shoes, Lin Ruoshi came to Yang Cheng's side and said, "Let's go out quickly. Hui Lin and the others must be anxious." Yang Cheng naturally knew about this. Although he felt that there was something fishy about this incident, he was not very worried. After all, Hui Lin knew martial arts. With her around, Anshin would be fine. He pulled Lin Ruoshi to the door and was about to open it when someone knocked on the door from the outside. Sir, please open the door. Emergency." Yang Cheng opened the door, and outside was a young man in the hotel's uniform. When he saw Yang Cheng and Lin Ruoshi putting on their clothes and looking like they were about to come out, he heaved a sigh of relief and hurriedly said, "Sir, miss, please leave from the safe passage on the left. It's very dangerous here, and there might be an explosion at any time." The fire alarm lights in the corridor were flashing violently, and many guests on the same floor were rushing to the staircase. Yang Cheng nodded, held Lin Ruoshi's hand, and walked out of the room. Just a few steps out of the room, Yang Cheng suddenly pulled Lin Ruoshi in front of him. "Ah!" Lin Ruoshi let out a soft cry. She did not know why Yang Cheng suddenly pulled her with force. However, before Lin Ruoshi could ask, a cold light suddenly pierced through the place where she was originally standing. "It's a knife?" Before Lin Ruoshi could think about it, Yang Cheng had already made his next move. His left arm slapped backward, and in a flash, he directly hit the face of the waiter, and the young man who stabbed Lin Ruoshi with a knife was slapped to the ground. Yang Cheng turned around, and his casual heavy blow was no joke. The assassin who pretended to be a waiter had half of his face caved in, and a trace of blood seeped out of the corner of his mouth. It seemed that he had suffered a concussion or brain hemorrhage and directly fell to the ground. Even though Lin Ruoshi had always been calm, seeing this shocking change, she was stunned speechless. Yang Cheng frowned, and without saying a word, he pulled Lin Ruoshi to the door of Hui Lin and Anshin's room. Just as he was about to force the door open, it was open from the inside. Huilin was wearing pink cotton pajamas, and her hair was messy as she stood there. She looked a little anxious, and she was holding a cold, long dagger in her hand. "Brother Yang, sister," Are you all right? You should be the one asking. Where's Anshin? Yang Chung asked. I'm here. Anshin walked out of the washroom with a frightened look. She seemed to have suffered some kind of shock as she covered her heart with one hand. Yang Chung was relieved and looked inside. There was a man in the waiter's uniform lying on the floor of the room, but he had been killed by Hui Lin. He didn't know if he was killed or knocked unconscious. The fire alarm went off just now, and we were about to go out. That man suddenly rushed in and tried to assassinate us with a dagger, so I fought back and asked Anshin to go into the washroom. Brother Yang, why is there an assassin all of a sudden? Hui Lin had experienced some fierce battles, so she calmed down quickly. Yang Chung turned around and looked at Lin Ruoshi. I guess it's your enemy. I think if this is used to assassinate me, it's definitely not enough. At least he wouldn't use a knife to kill me. Lin Ruoshi's pretty face turned cold. Her beautiful eyes no longer had the shyness and panic she had in the room earlier. At this moment, she was filled with ruthlessness, like the howling night of the deep winter. Even the tone of her voice had become somewhat sinister. Fire alarm. Sneak attack again in the midst of chaos. I don't think it's over so soon. It should be a premeditated plan. Lin Ruoshi frowned and said, their motive shouldn't be simple. Let's go back to Zhonghai immediately and leave this to the police. Yang Chung didn't care. He only needed to ensure the safety of his family. Hui Lin and Anshin didn't have their own opinions, so they listened to Lin Ruoshi and hurriedly packed their luggage. Yang Chung followed Lin Ruoshi back to her room to take her luggage. No matter how urgent the situation was, they couldn't panic. How did you know that person was an assassin? Lin Ruoshi suddenly thought of this and asked casually. Everyone in the hotel knows that you're the CEO, but he called me first, then you, and even called you Mr. and Miss. Moreover, the fire alarm just came out, and there was already a waiter knocking on the door of the VIP suite on the highest floor. This loophole is too big. Yang Chung chuckled and said, most importantly, that was a low-level assassin, and his murderous aura was too obvious. A strange look appeared in Lin Ruoshi's eyes. Why are you so sensitive to the murderous aura of an assassin? Yang Chung smiled embarrassedly. Do you really want to know? Yes, I feel that if I'm going to hand everything over to you, perhaps I should really understand your past, Lin Ruoshi said. In fact, after the incident where Zhang Xinlin and Su Jihong were killed, Lin Ruoshi had been avoiding talking about Yang Cheng's past. But at this moment, she had no choice but to bring it up again. She felt that this was the barrier that prevented her from being together with Yang Chung in the end. Yang Chung narrowed his eyes, looked at Lin Ruoshi seriously for a while, and said, when we have time, I'll bring you to a place. We'll treat it as a trip, and at the same time, I'll tell you some things. It's a deal, Lin Ruoshi said faintly, then packed her luggage and walked out of the room first. Wait, Yang Chung walked forward and said unhappily, what are you so proud of? At a time like this, follow me obediently. Do you think that they only sent 1 or 2 assassins to deal with you? Lin Ruoshi was forcefully pulled to his side by Yang Chung. She bit her lip and was a little dissatisfied with Yang Cheng's rough actions. However, he wanted to protect himself, so he didn't say anything. After handing over some important details to the resort's manager, the 4 of them returned to the big Lexus that they came from. Yang Chung took out his phone, started the car, and dialed his home number. However, after a few rings, no one picked up the phone. Are you calling home? Lin Ruoshi asked. Yang Chung nodded. Why wouldn't I pick up the phone? He didn't think that his home was attacked. If that was the case, the Sea Eagles, who were responsible for taking care of his home, should have sent him a message. Did you forget that we said a few days ago that Mother Wong will call the moving company to move back to the old house when we come out to play today? Lin Ruoshi said. Yang Chung just remembered that and asked quickly, what's the phone number in the old house? I've already called. Mother Wong said that there's nothing wrong and asked us to be careful. Lin Ruoshi rolled her eyes at him. You even forgot about moving. It seems that you really don't want to go home. As soon as she finished speaking, Lin Ruoshi's phone rang. Lin Ruoshi looked at it and saw that it was her assistant, Wu Yu. General Lin, something happened. Wu Yu sounded anxious. She, who usually followed Lin Ruoshi's example and never smiled, couldn't hold it in any longer. Unhurriedly, Lin Ruoshi asked, "Speak slowly." A few of Yulei's factories in the suburbs of Zhonghai caught fire at the same time. A few workers who were working overtime were burned to death. Now the police have asked our company's legal representative to come forward and assist in the investigation. It's said that there's a problem with our factory's safety measures. I think it's deliberate. Our factories have been strictly inspected for potential safety issues. How could there be a fire? And these workers died in the factory. They didn't escape. How is this possible? A cold light flashed in Lin Ruoshi's eyes. Is it the factory that produces new materials? Yes, CEO. I think someone is purposely trying to delay the launch of our new products and disrupt our production chain. And it seems like there's a deep hatred between them. They're even using human lives. It's obvious that they want to fight us to the death. But I really don't know who it is that wants to go against us. Wu Yu said fearfully. Lin Ruoshi's expression didn't look good. Indeed, the current situation was that the enemy was in the dark while she was in the light. She had too many enemies, and many of them were capable. With such a vicious competition, it was hard for her to put up an effective resistance. Just as Lin Ruoshi was about to instruct Wu Yu on some countermeasures, Anshin, who was sitting at the back of the car, exclaimed, "Watch out!" Lin Ruoshi turned her head abruptly and looked in front. She saw a huge truck with its lights flashing in front of her. This was a one-way road. This truck was obviously going against each other. Although these two LX570 were large SUVs, it was inevitable that they would be flattened when faced with a truck that was carrying dozens of tons of goods. Lin Ruoshi's beautiful eyes widened. She finally panicked. Beside her, Yang Cheng, who was sitting in the driver's seat, was no longer relaxed. He narrowed his eyes and revealed a thick, killing intent. Yang Cheng, turn around. Without waiting for Lin Ruoshi to come back to her senses and shout, she saw that Yang Cheng had already unbuckled his seatbelt. "You? What are you going to do?" In the nick of time, Yang Cheng only turned his head and gave Lin Ruoshi a comforting smile. There was even a hint of playfulness in it. Then he pushed open the car door. Chapter 426. The bone-chilling night wind whistled into the car, causing the three women in the car to shiver. Yang Cheng remained silent and calmly stepped on the brake. At the same time, he shifted the car into park gear and pulled up the handbrake. Screech! The Lexus's strong traction allowed it to slide for a long time before it finally stopped. A puff of white smoke rose from the car. In front of them, the big truck was less than 50 meters away. It looked like a giant beast was about to swallow the four of them. At this moment, Yang Cheng left the driver's seat. In a flash, he appeared 5 meters away from the front of the Lexus. He stretched out his arms and raised his head as if he was enjoying it. It was like the classic scene in Titanic. However, in the movie, it was a woman who did this, but it was a man who did this. Yang Cheng, Brother Yang. The three women in the car shouted at the same time. Lin Ruoshi tried to reach out to stop Yang Cheng, but she couldn't even touch the corner of Yang Cheng's clothes. They watched helplessly as Yang Cheng stood in front of the big truck like a martyr who was not afraid of death, intending to stop the steel beast with his flesh and blood. Except for shock. Except for fear. It was incredible. This man, is he crazy? Huilin knew Yang Cheng the most, but the current situation made her nervous, not to mention Lin Ruoshi and Anshin. At the same time, they closed their eyes, unable to bear to see the result. Although Anshin knew that Yang Cheng was good at martial arts, she subconsciously didn't think that a person could stop a truck with his body. That was something that could only be done by special effects in movies. She clenched her hands so tightly that her knuckles turned white. As for whether the truck would run over Yang Cheng and then kill them, it was not something they could think about. Boom! After the roar of the diesel engine, there was a violent explosion in the air. Bang! Bang bang! Squeak! Bang bang! Smoke and dust filled the air. The moment the truck was about to touch Yang Cheng's body, it suddenly seemed to have crashed into an invisible wall of air. Following that, the truck was forcefully dented by an irresistible force. The thick and heavy metal plate twisted violently, breaking and bending inch by inch. The grinding sound of gears grinding against each other pierced through everyone's eardrums. What followed was the explosion of the engine cylinder and the breaking of the magnetic belt. The rear half of the truck was lifted up due to the inertia of the impact. It rolled in the air and crashed into the green belt on the side of the road, along with the front of the truck. At the same time, the fragments of steel plates and spare parts, as well as glass shards, scattered everywhere. The heavy parts of the truck rolled up the soil on the side of the road, creating a huge crack. The soil and plants were crushed into a complete mess, as if an excavator had been digging in a frenzy. It was a tragic sight to behold. The three women in the car realized that nothing dangerous had happened. They carefully looked in front of the car, only to see that the truck had been smashed to pieces by the side of the road. The man who had made them tremble with fear was leisurely strolling towards the pile of scraps of the truck. White smoke was still coming out from there, and the smell of burnt soil was extremely pungent. Yang Cheng expressionlessly walked to the front of the truck, stretched out his hand, and pulled open a bent iron door. He pulled out a half-dead truck driver, whose head was dyed bright red, from the crushed truck. It was a man who looked quite strong, but when Yang Cheng pulled him out, the guy had just died. "What bad luck," Yang Cheng murmured, and then he was too lazy to deal with the mess and walked straight back to the car. Anshin and Hui Lin were more accepting of the situation in front of them. After all, they had seen Yang Cheng's extraordinary background, but Lin Ruoshi was different. Although she had seen Yang Cheng kill people, she did not think that Yang Cheng could directly block a truck with his body. Therefore, when Yang Cheng got into the car, Lin Ruoshi subconsciously shrank her delicate body. Yang Cheng saw this, and there was a trace of bitterness in his heart. After the completion of the endless resolve restoration scripture, his bad habit of easily falling into madness whenever he killed people in battle had been well suppressed, and he did not need to take the medicine given by Jane. However, this did not mean that his inextinguishable murderous aura would disappear so easily. Every time he fought, he would not be able to control the violent soul in his body, and it would emit an aura that ordinary people would be afraid of. Yang Cheng knew that his chronic illness had not been completely cured, so in a sense, he was still like a bomb buried in his body. He did not know if he would become a bloodthirsty monster in the future. Yang Cheng tried his best to restrain his murderous aura, and then he squeezed out a smile and asked, "Did I scare you?" Lin Ruoshi was a little regretful. She saw the sadness on Yang Cheng's face just now, and she shook her head and said, I just couldn't adapt to it for a while. I'm fine now." Yang Cheng nodded and started the car, but after a moment of silence, he said, "I hope that you never have the chance to adapt, even if that is not possible." Lin Ruoshi was silent and did not speak again. Hui Lin and Anshin, who were in the back seat, also seemed to feel that the atmosphere was not right and fell into silence. They didn't encounter any dangerous situations along the way, but Lin Ruoshi's phone calls kept coming in, and all of them were negative news about Ulay International. The police had also begun to investigate Ulay International situation. After all, dozens of lives have been lost in this incident. After thinking about it, Lin Ruoshi dialed Mo Chinny's number. "Chinny, where are you? I've been in the company for a long time. If you didn't call me, I would have called you. The situation is very bad now." On the other end of the phone, Mo Chinny seemed to be busy with something, and all kinds of noises and shouts could be heard. She should be giving orders in the big office. Lin Ruoshi took a deep breath and said, "I've heard about the situation at the factory from Wu Yu. Don't worry about it for the time being. I suspect that the opponent this time attacked our factory just to mess us up. They have sent assassins, and I suspect that they will also attack you and the other main staff of the company. Pay attention to your own safety and get the security company's people to gather immediately." "Assassins," Mo Chinny exclaimed and hurriedly asked, Then are you guys okay?" "Yeah." Lin Ruoshi looked at Yang Cheng, who was driving silently. "We're fine, don't worry. Go and investigate first and find out who is behind this." Mo Chinny said awkwardly, "I'm afraid I can't leave now." "Why?" Lin Ruoshi frowned. "Just 5 minutes ago, a large number of foreign buyers suddenly bought our shares like crazy. Now the branch in the United States is a mess, and I'm remotely commanding and coordinating. If this continues, it's inevitable that we will have to mobilize funds from other areas. They are obviously deliberately trying to suppress us economically and materially, so that our stock market will collapse, and then our industry will suffer a setback. Lin Ruashi closed her eyes and asked coldly, "Can you still hold on now? It's very dangerous." Emo Chinni said a few words to a few subordinates on the other end, and then continued, "Ruashi, I think let Athena team do it. The opponent seems to be a very powerful international financial trader, maybe a famous team. Now we have internal and external troubles, and we can't afford to make any mistakes. And if we let Athena team do it, we can free up time to concentrate on mobilizing funds to prepare for a counterattack." The Athena team, Emo Chinni mentioned, was naturally the small team that Lin Ruashi was directly in charge of in the battle to defeat Changlin Media and the Su family. Every one of them was a trader and actuary from the world's top academies, and every year, a huge amount of money was spent to support them, and they only played a role in the important business war. Because that secret team only listened to Lin Ruashi's mobilization, Emo Chinni could only ask Lin Ruashi first. Lin Ruashi thought for a while and said, "I'll go directly to the Athena team base in the resort. Chinni, temporarily take over my duties and deal with the important projects that need to be done in the next few days. Let Mingyu cooperate with you and bring the other department heads to stabilize the situation. The internal affairs of the company can't be chaotic. As for the problem of funds, I'll let Wu mobilize it. She's more familiar with the bank. By the way, the bidding for the new factories tomorrow and the day after can't be put aside. Our budget should be enough to take those factories. Don't lose a good opportunity because of the terrible situation now. Understood? I won't forget about the bidding and negotiations." Emo Chinni didn't suspect anything. Obviously, dealing with the troubles outside and the chaos in the company was enough to give her a headache. After listening to Lin Ruashi's arrangement, she immediately agreed and hung up. Then, Lin Ruashi immediately called the less than 10 members of the Athena team back to the base of the resort. At the same time, she asked Yang Cheng to drive directly to the resort and wouldn't go home for the time being. Through the conversation with Lin Ruashi on the phone, Yang Cheng more or less understood the current situation, but he didn't pay much attention to the company's situation. He was more concerned about who the culprit would be this time. Currently, the most likely culprit was Ning Guodong, but he didn't seem to be that capable. Even if the Ning family had enough power and funds, they wouldn't hand it over to him to deal with Yulei International. So who could it be? Thinking about it, Lin Ruashi must have more candidates in mind, but she couldn't be sure, so she didn't say anything. Hui Lin and Anshin, who had been listening to Lin Ruashi's various orders, felt that the situation wasn't optimistic. Anshin was thinking about it, but Hui Lin didn't understand these business operations at all. She couldn't help but ask worriedly, "Sister, is something big happening? Can I help?" Lin Ruashi turned around and looked at Hui Lin's delicate and pretty face. The sincerity in her eyes warmed her heart. She couldn't help but smile. "It's okay, trust me." Hui Lin nodded obediently. She also knew that she couldn't help Lin Ruashi with anything, but she still felt uneasy. "If there are any difficulties in gathering funds, the family can help," Anshin suddenly said sincerely. Lin Ruashi was slightly surprised. She looked at Anshin with a complicated expression and said, "Thank you." Anshin smiled sweetly. "No need to thank me. You're my sister, and I'm also a member of Yulei." Lin Ruashi also naturally pursed her lips. The two women looked at each other, as if there was something unspoken. When the car approached the resort where Athena team was located, Wu Yu called again. But this time, the news she brought made Lin Ruashi's heart sink.